Hello there, everybody, and welcome to another episode of All Nicked Up. We've been gone for a little bit. We were enjoying our holidays. We were enjoying the time with our families, and I hope we were enjoying the time with our families. But we're back for a little bit of a holiday redux. We're gonna try and cover a little bit of what's been going on with the Knicks. So I want to thank you all first for all of you for coming on and for spending some time with us tonight. Shouldn't be too long of a show, but we haven't been on in a couple of weeks, so we have a lot to cover. Let me bring the guys on. So let me bring on Ty and Craig. So hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, how is everybody?
Misery loves company. That's why we're here.
So it's been a few weeks since we recorded. I was traveling for work one week, and then we decided with the holidays not to push our luck and hope people will be watching us during when everyone's shopping and all that crap. So it's been a few weeks, and a lot has happened. We've gone from a 8-game win streak during that time we were away to now a 4-game losing streak. So it's been a lot. There's a lot going on, a lot to talk about with the Knicks right now. Everything that's going on with the team regarding not only what's been going on the court, but there's obviously stuff always with this team being mentioned off the court. So we are gonna try and focus on that stuff for the next hour and a half. Give you guys a little something going on. As you guys can see, my background's a little different. I'm in a different room in the house, with a little bit more colorful, a little bit more vibrant. So I wanted to do that. I've been trying this out with a couple of the shows I've been on, so I wanted to throw that out here for you guys. All right, so first let me see and ask you guys, how was your Christmas? No one wants to take that one?
I'm thinking Christmas. I mean, being around family, having a few drinks, eating, and watch my little nephew be extremely happy. That's always, it's always about the kids for me.
Right.
Hell with the adults.
Yep. And Craig, what about you with your two boys? And
for me, a lot of drinking, a lot of eating. I did not watch this Christmas Day game purposely.
You didn't?
I did not.
Wow.
House divided, man. House divided.
I hear you on that one.
I just said I'm staying away from that.
And, that's for sure.
Other than that, the baby didn't get anything, obviously, because we gave him life. That's a gift. The 6-year-old, he really enjoyed himself a lot, obviously, because Santa brought a lot to him. So he enjoyed himself. Other than that, just quiet at home with a couple of family members and a lot of eating, a lot of drinking. That's about it.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you guys had a good time with your families. And Craig, I'm a little surprised you didn't watch the game, but I get it. I understand. So
and look at the result. So
yeah,
I would have. It would have ruined the day for me. I know that's ridiculous. I'm 38 years old and I'm grown up, but it would have ruined Christmas for me. So I was just like, I'm not watching it. I watched Home Alone for like the 80th time. So.
Well, we could start there if you want to. We could start with that game, but we haven't been on in a while, so we could really quickly run through the win streak. It was nice. I will say it was definitely nice. I think the biggest thing that the win streak produced for me was the fact that RJ Barrett started to look like RJ Barrett, which has been a good sign. He's been playing a lot better recently, as true to form. Right, this guy seems to always come around December, yep. Mid-December he starts playing well. So true to form, he's doing that. So as Ty likes to call him, the Broadway Bully, I have the return of the Broadway Bully. In the month of December, he's actually averaging 23 points, 6 rebounds. He's shooting 47% from the field and 42% from three, 74% from the line. So, I mean, those are all-star numbers. Like when you think about it, if you look at it that way, those are all-star numbers. So I think that's probably was the best thing that to come out of that 8-game win streak was he started to get into a groove and he started to look like the player who we all thought he would be, which is good. Obviously, they just extended him. So whether he's in their future plans or he's going to be an asset for something else, I think him playing well is important So yeah, really quickly on Barrett's resurgence. Any of you want to take a stab as to why he's playing better, or?
Getting out of his own way, I guess. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ty.
Oh, sorry about that also. But to me, it's always, I think this guy plays himself into shape. That's the only thing that I could see that goes on every year. I think he's one of those guys who takes the summer off to play, do no basketball, just, does his, works out on his skills or whatever. And I think he's an old school guy. Some guys like to come in and play themselves into basketball shape during the season. It's the only explanation I can come up with, because the slow starts make him sometimes look like he's in the G League. And then about December, he looks like an all-star. So that's the only thing I can equate it. You give him about a month or so, and he plays himself into game shape, and he comes around.
Yeah, definitely. I think shot selection as well. Maybe he's a little bit more. He's been a little bit more assertive, which is what we like to see from him. Because as we know, his game really is a downhill game, going towards the basket, getting fouled. He's actually been hitting some layups, which is nice to see. The bunnies that we were mad about him missing in November, he seems to have found the touch a little bit. Didn't last game he played, he had a bad shooting night, but that's been more of an aberration than what we've seen recently. So yeah, it's been, that's been a welcome sign. And as Craig, you started to mention, getting out of his own way, right? Just kind of playing his game, right?
I believe that he thinks way too much when he's out there. Like he's always trying to figure, because I guess he kind of thinks the game in his head while in the game, right? And I think that because he knows that he's not as smooth or athletic as other players in his ilk should be, so he's probably trying to think through the moves, and that's probably just leading to him hitting a wall or a mental block, and it's keeping him from really showing what he can do. We all know that he's not the player that we want him to be, but he doesn't have to be. Just be who you are and make layups. That's it.
make layups, make your free throws. Those are probably the two things. The last one is a team problem, and we'll get to that in a little while.
Yeah,
but the last one seems to be a team issue, at least when the game is on the line. But yeah, RJ Barrett again has been great. Unfortunately, he got hurt yesterday. He lacerated his hand. I didn't even see how that happened. I didn't see blood. Like, what? I don't know. It was very weird. All of a sudden, he played 2 minutes that he's out of the game. I'm like, what the hell happened?
Luka Logan. That's what it was. Must have been a Wolverine claw came out or something, because I don't see how that even happened. It must have been a claw, something Luka had, because it's just like a routine reaching, and next thing he knows, he's going on a gurney heading into the locker room. I don't know.
Yeah, it was really odd, really weird. But they obviously, the way he's playing now, they need him. Right. So you said you heard he's going to be out for like a week or two.
A week or so, they say. That's what the reports are. He's going to be out at least a week. I know Wally had touched on. I mean, obviously, I don't play hoops professionally, but he said that anytime you have like a laceration, it messes with your dribble and your shooting, and it makes it pretty much something that you can't really play basketball with, from what he was saying. Yeah, a week or so. That's what the reports are coming out, and you got Brunson out too. So this is going to be a pretty. I don't know where you.
Yeah, man. That one is that one is a little bit rough as well.
Yeah.
So you have two-thirds of their quote unquote big three, because they're obviously not the big three that the superstar level big three, but they're our big three. So you have 2/3 of them out right now. Brunson probably the more important of the two, just because he's the point guard, and we know the Knicks don't have one really unless he's out there. So even though Quickly had like 90 assists yesterday, but whatever, that's not. I mean, that was an aberration. I think I could say that was more of an aberration. So So I put this one up. Happy holidays, right? And with question marks. This is how I'm looking about, because it started out like it was a happy holiday this month. We had, like I said, the 8 straight wins. Obviously, some of them were advantageous. They played a lot of teams that were either missing their star or caught them at the right time. I think one was even on a back-to-back that they caught a team on. So I think that they were beneficial in that regard. But the last four games, man, they should have won two of them. The four losses, they
Yeah.
definitely should have won two of them.
Hmm.
And what I said before is exactly what happened. It reared its ugly head is the free throw shooting for me. Like that's the one thing every NBA player. Ty, you said you believe what you said 90%. I think you feel.
Well, I said it should at least be 80%. I think, but we settled at about 80. 80 is my soft number, but it should be 85 to 90% that you're shooting free throws at this level. It makes an absurd thing to believe that you're getting paid some of these guys excess $30 million and plus, and you have someone. I think it's Steven Adams. What is he shooting, like 40%, and then Bismack Biyombo shooting 20%?
Yeah,
That's
like
that's absurd. That's just you shouldn't be in the league at that point if you can't shoot free throws.
and Mitch obviously isn't a good free throw shooter for our team.
Which is another one.
So that's been another that's been the most glaring thing for me because if you lose because a team beat you, or if you lose because you're not as talented, or if you lose because a team hits a big shot, when that's one thing. But if you're losing because of things you can control,
Yeah.
which is making shots that are no one's guarding you on, and they're 15-foot shots, which for an NBA player should be a layup, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's the maddening thing for me with these last four games of the 4-game losing streak now that they've had, following up the 8-game win streak, which even when I say it doesn't sound right. Like that really is happening, but it is. So Craig, what's been your takeaway? The difference between the 8-game win streak and now the 4-game losing streak. Mine was the free throw shooting, but we know there's more than that. So what is your takeaway from what's changed?
In no particular order, excuse me, free throw shooting, not having a closer. I mean, just call it what it is. Bad luck, a little bit of bad coaching, and in full transparency, I did not watch the Dallas game. And I'm going to use the Dallas game. I'm going to just put this into perspective. Try to make this point here. I agree with everything that you're saying. Like, you got to be able to make free throws. There's no reason why Grimes is missing a free throw. Randall's missing 2 free throws. McBride missing a free throw from going back and watching the highlights, right? There's no reason why Brunson misses 2 free throws against the Bulls at home, right? That's inexcusable. But I'm going to just completely forget about all that and be a fan for 2 seconds. Mm-hmm. From what I've read and from the highlights that I've seen in that Dallas game, that game is frustrating to me, right? It's the most frustrating because, Ty, you mentioned it. I'm reading the chat while the game is going. I'm not watching the game, but I'm reading the chat. And you say the league hates the Knicks, right? Mm-hmm. Now, that's it's hyperbole, right? But when you go back and I match what you said to the highlight that I said of Luka, not the purpose, not the free throw he missed on purpose, not that one, right? That's Luka just being Luka, right? But the one where he gets his own rebound, I believe, it comes in for the putback and quickly fouls him. Completely, one of the worst calls I've seen ever in the history of the league. That frustrated me to no end. Forget the free throws. Forget the poor clock management. Forget Tibbs not running. Tibbs just being Tibbs. Forget all of that because that was bound to happen. But that particular foul call drove me crazy. Now I understand why you said what you said. Quickly didn't foul him, didn't touch him, nothing. And you call that? That could have changed the game right there. Yeah. Again, I'm not taking anything away from Dallas just beating them. I'm not taking away from the Knicks beating themselves. I'm not taking away from the Tibbs still going. What did he still only play like 8 or 9 players, right? You got Ev on the bench, you got Kel. It's all perfectly fine because that's just the Knicks thing to do. But that call in and of itself, as soon as I saw that replay, and Ty, the league hates the Knicks. How does that even how do you call that as an NBA referee? I'm sorry, it was the worst foul call I've ever seen. Worse than LeBron's flop against Tyson Chandler.
It was horrible.
I'm gonna leave it at that. Sorry, it's so frustrating. I'm glad I didn't watch it in live.
Oh, you should be glad.
I'm glad I didn't watch it in real time because you would have been seeing me doing a perp walk like Cuba Gooding Jr. I would have killed everyone in this house.
I also didn't. I watched the first half of the game, but I had plans and I was out for the second half, so I admit I didn't see the end of the game.
Oh.
I was following along with it though on my phone because I kept checking to see what was going on. So what happened? There was a jump ball too.
It was for take it from someone. They always say Capricorns love watching accidents, and I do believe that to a degree. We do find a little fascination in a great accident, not death, but
Right.
we like seeing
We
things.
got
Hurt.
who trips and falls and
Yeah, a little snicker. Just to see how it goes. I always say, I like kids. I don't like them when they're screaming. I might trip them down a flight of steps. Just to see what happens. Don't want to hurt them. Don't want child abuse, but I'm just saying. You never know. But we love watching a good accident happen. This was the perfect accident. The Knicks, I must say, if someone watched the game, they might agree with me, might disagree. This was the best performance that the Knicks had of a game. It was the game where you saw Julius with no mistakes really. Played his butt off quickly, like we said. Had 9 assists, I think, going in out of the first quarter.
Yeah.
8 or 9.
Yeah.
wow.
He was cooking. He wasn't scoring a lot. He had 4 points, but he had 11 assists.
Wow.
Cooking. Grimes cooking. McBride a little off on his shot, doing well. Mitch actually got the ball in the post, made a move to the basket. We're like, wait a minute. And this team is undermanned. You have 2/3 of your big three, like Eric said, is out, and you're like, wow.
But they're not really undermanned.
And they play with such energy, like we've been wanting them to play with. And then we get down to the fourth, and they're still battling. So you're like, Grimes is lit. I think I posted. I said, he's gonna definitely hit his career high, he's gonna surpass it. Bam! The dude was locked in and lit. So you're watching this game, and now obviously we come to the culmination that we're up by 9, 35 seconds. You're like, there's no way they should ever lose this game, I should say. Because Dallas was flat with their shooting. Those shots that Timmy was hitting in the garden saying, this is my house. He was in his own house and didn't know where the refrigerator was. He wasn't hitting Jack last night. You had all these on Dinwiddie, off night. All the guys. Nobody was on. No one was on. I mean, you saw Kemba siding. Kemba, I think, may have hit one or he might have made a couple free throws. But then, his radar was off. He was barnstorming. He was hitting the side of everybody else's barn but his. It was a game that played right into the hands of the Knicks. And Luka was being Luka. We know how he is. But he was having pretty much an off night, too. He wasn't having that great performance. You get to the last night, the last 35 seconds of that game, and it's like all hell broke loose. And you're watching it, and you're going, they're going to lose this game. And whatever voodoo we always say exists with the Knicks, whether it's Tom Thibodeau, the refereeing, a blunder by a player, leaving a 3-point shooter open. It all happened in that 35 seconds. It all happened. They got lit from 3-point range. The Knicks could not find the shooter. They missed free throws out the yin yang. They couldn't rebound. They couldn't box out. They had no awareness. And it was just like the perfect accident happened in that 35 seconds. And you're like, oh, fertilizer. I'm just going to put it that way. Oh, fertilizer. Here comes the Dallas Mavericks. And I'm a fan. I like Luka. I like watching Luka play. I think he's the most entertaining guy to watch. I know people say John Morant. I like watching Luka. The dude laughs the whole game, and he's just having a lot of fun out there. And I'm more than sure he's a great teammate to those guys. He's a kid out there playing a grown man playing a kid's game, and he acts like a kid. And you're watching it unfold, and that last rebound just was like, this is what usually happens in the Garden, where we get that one, serendipity, as Walt says, that one guy gets a shot that he never could have got a shot before. every voodoo curse the Knicks ever have endured as a Knicks fan, and we've watched happen in that Dallas game. And then to know that Luka he's right there at the right moment to get the rebound. He chucks it up, and then he starts dancing around, and it's like, you saw Grimes, who was the most steady person probably mentally on the floor, and you watch him put his head down, and he was like, oh, damn.
The crazy thing about that play was Grimes actually had the ball, and I think McBride hit it out of his hand.
Yep.
Like I was like, what?
Murphy's law of the Knicks, because it was just the most buffoonish. The most buffoonery happened, and they had probably their best game. That I've always said, the Knicks have to play a perfect game to just survive games. I don't care the level of competition, really. Like, even when watching the Knicks play, like during the 8-game winning streak, they won, but you're like, we could lose just as easily. It's not like we saw a dominant performance. Like, this team is a juggernaut now. It's like we're like almost like the NCAA tournament. Like, you move on and you survive. That's how we have always played this game. It seems is that even when hot, we're like barely squeaking by, et cetera, et cetera. And it was literally John had mentioned earlier. Old Scissorhand said, "Oh, Reggie Miller." I'm like, no, this isn't Reggie, because you can almost justify Reggie. Reggie pushed, got the ball back. It was one mindless play. Ended up basically being a big shot by a great 3-point shooter. Hey, it happens. It's like serendipity, like really, like Walt says. This was not serendipity at all. This was an accident. This was a full-on head-on collision accident, because I think most Knicks fans walked away extremely miserable, more than they've ever been miserable before after any game, because to know that now you have to listen to the statistics that this has never happened ever in an NBA game, ever. Luka's triple-double never, ever happened. You can't make it up.
But isn't that what's so frustrating? I didn't even watch it, and I'm seething right now. I'm seething from Twitter. I'm seething from ESPN. I'm seething just knowing that it happened. It was by far one of the worst things to, again, I can't say watch because I did, but just to know about. Like it's horrible. And to watch Luka again, this is where the pettiness comes. Right? Obviously, he's a great player, but he's so annoying. So annoying. And then to see that stupid smile on his face, to see that stupid little "I gotta pee my pants" dance, frustrated.
Yeah.
The HE double hockey stick. HE double whatever hockey. It pissed me off.
Helicopter out of you. The helicopter.
Thank you. It was so and it's just like, how does that happen? Like it's just one of those times where you're disgusted. I'm literally disgusted just thinking about it.
It's Embiid doing this in the garden, laughing.
Yeah,
this is LeBron James spinning a bottle.
Yes,
all of these are Knicks fan tortures, and like I said, that's why I'm saying the end of that game last night was just a culmination of all that Knicks fans have suffered. The star beating us being buffoons, being outcoached, all the things that you can put pretty much in a pile about the Knicks torture happened in that game, and that's why we took that huge L. Like I would say, the James Todd Smith L.
Well, I don't know if I necessarily would call it, Luka hate.
But hold on a second. You got to understand Craig. Craig doesn't like any great player who's not on the Knicks.
I'm not afraid to admit that. He's a great player. He's really, really good. But it's frustrating to watch the biggest crybaby I literally have ever seen him.
Yeah, he is a crybaby though.
He's a crybaby. He's a big crybaby, and he gets almost every call. I mean, like forget Jordan getting calls. Like this dude, you know what?
The biggest thing about his line that bothered me was the 21 rebounds. I could live with the other. Yeah. I can live with the scoring and the assists.
Yeah, I can live
with that. That's what he does. I know that. But 20, I know he's a good rebounder, but 21?
It's ridiculous. That's Kevin. Those are Kevin Love numbers.
Like, what were you doing?
That's the Minnesota.
That is Rodman creating.
Seriously,
Guy can't jump off. He can't jump this high off the ground, but he's getting 20 boards on the Knicks.
He's like
really
this in the
is.
5-foot pool. Like, how is he getting 20 rebounds?
He really is such an anomaly. Like he's
Yeah.
one of the biggest anomalies because if you look at him, you're like, this guy's a bum. Like this is the first thing you would say, this guy's a bum. If you just saw him, like if we were at the park and you saw Luka Doncic, you'd be like, this guy's whack.
He's
Like,
Billy Hoyt. He's Billy Hoyt, literally. When you look at him, he's Billy Hoyt.
He is so good. Like it's unbelievable how good he is. Really. And I mean, I remember saying this when he was in Europe, like when he won the MVP of the Euro League. And I remember saying it then. I'm like, he shouldn't be this good. Like this guy should not be this good.
He can trick you he can lull you into making
That's what it is, man. That's exactly what it is. He kind of lulls you to sleep.
But Jokic is the same way. You would look at Jokic and you would go, nah, that dude's not.
You know what it is? You know why? They make the game look so easy.
Yep. Because the game's a gift for them.
Yeah.
I've often said, I mean, we always
see, homerism. I will not tolerate homerism, Steve. He gets a lot of calls. And he should. Stars get calls, right?
Because he's that good. He's literally that good.
Right. It's a stars league. Stars get calls. This has been going on for years. Like this is not news. I'm not surprised that he gets the calls he gets, but it does kind of get annoying when he doesn't get one and he starts complaining about the one that he doesn't get. Like that's the issue that I think a lot of people have. But I've always had it. I had it with Jordan. I had it with all the guys. It sucks when it's not on your team.
Yeah.
When it happens against you. But I mean, taking away nothing from him, he is fantastic. I first said that trade was fair. It was a wash with him and Trae Young because Trae Young is also fantastic, but Luka is obviously better than him.
Yeah.
So Dallas won that trade, if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah, without a doubt, they definitely won that trade.
But I mean, with back to us and the Knicks, and the game was over. That's the other problem. Like that game was over.
It was done.
Hit your free throws and you win the game. Even with the great game Luka had. That's it. Hit your free throws. Really, that's all it comes down to. Mm-hmm. And it was the same problem in Chicago. Hit your free throws. Like, and I'm not talking about guys who are bad free throw shooters shooting them.
No.
Like, Grimes is a pretty good free throw shooter. Brunson is like 90%.
Yep, he's actually 89%. He's 89% and didn't hit his free throws. You only got to get one.
That second one, it was the first one in the Chicago game, in and out. That first one, I mean, the first one was in and out. The second one was a complete brick. And again, this is going to sound like a crybaby thing, but to have the opposing, because LeBron did this to Gilbert Arenas, right? To have an opposing player be able to cross the player on the free throw line, right? I'm going to turn to Jeff Van Gundy here, right? Because Jeff Van Gundy's always complaining about what can change with the rules. You should not be able to cross a player while at the free throw line, whether across from the free throw line or behind them, and say something to them. That I know that seems like a crybaby thing to say to complain about, but you shouldn't be able to do that to somebody. Like it's not the same. It's not the same as someone throwing a thunder stick. If you miss with a thunder stick, you can't control the crowd. But a player shouldn't have that much control over you to be able to. What did he say?
He says the ones he doesn't get are usually so blatant. Homers have.
I mean, I guess that's fair. I mean, I'm not gonna argue. I don't know. That kind of pissed me off too. With DeRozan was able to do the Brunson, but
all right. So the first game of the 4-game losing streak was a home game against the Raptors. Now, Pascal Siakam's a very nice player. Don't get me wrong. He's a very good player. 52 damn points? Really?
That's really the Knicks issue, and I've been saying it for a minute.
18 free throws? 18 for him?
But who was the precursor to that? Jeremy Grant. It was bound to happen again because Jeremy Grant came into the Garden like he was like the second coming of Hakeem Olajuwon, and he just basically ran amok. I mean, I should say more like he was Durant. He got wherever he wanted. And then obviously the free throw disparity became utterly ridiculous. But I've always been of the mindset that, and I said the same thing regarding Siakam. You have to make these guys shooters. You can't do one-on-one with these guys, and they're getting to the paint constantly. And once you get in the paint, I always tell people, when you're able to penetrate and get in the paint, you become a post player. That's basically what you become. Because now the defense you suck in the defense, and now you just become, you can be a distributor or a scorer, especially if you don't have someone that can stand in front of you with any length or foot speed. And you look at what happened with Siakam. He just came in and was like, this is my game tonight. I'm not gonna worry about it. There's no one gonna guard me. This coach is not gonna find a way of stopping me tonight. He doesn't play the kind of defense that would make me be fearful. You fear by taking jump shots. All you gotta do is sag off him. Same thing with DeRozan. You could sag off him. You're not gonna play him tight. Play a defense where you make him an outside. He couldn't hit one 3-point shot that night.
I know.
And he's not noted to. He's noted with a mid-range pull-up game. So you would at least put RJ on him to kind of like put somewhat of a hand in his face. Not like it always works, but I'm just saying the length would affect him if you made him into more of an outside shooter. You should never let him. Once he gets into that sweet spot, it's a wrap. Tom Thibodeau will not supposedly. Tom Thibodeau doesn't play zone. Well, yeah, he does. He plays it. He zones out when it's time to play it. Zone. And
you have two opposing players I wouldn't say criticizing their defensive schemes, but in press conferences acknowledging it. George Niang, because I saw that.
Yeah.
And then you had Luka talk about it last night.
Yep.
Those are two players on two completely different ends of the spectrum. George Niang at all the way at the bottom. Luka all the way at the top.
Yep.
And Niang will say, well, I haven't seen that type of coverage since college. They're not disrespecting Tibbs, but
he said that. I didn't know that was the line.
yeah. So if you're again, this falls on the Tibbs, it falls on the front office, and it falls. And I hate analytics. Eric knows how much I hate them. But if you have you have these guys in the front office who supposedly are analytics gurus for the most part, right? That should be an ominous sign to your front office that you have to. Again, I don't like coaches being fired, but two different players talking about and again, of course they're being asked that by reporters, but they weren't going to. The reporters didn't ask that. I guarantee you, Luka and George Niang aren't bringing that up at all.
Yeah, I mean, I can take Luka doing it, but Niang being that open on Christmas, and again, the Knicks were winning that game too. Like they were winning that game. But I mean, the thing about the Toronto game that bothered me more is they had a player that shot 1 for 10. Scotty Barnes shot 1 for 10 in that game.
Yeah.
And they lost. I mean,
even OG didn't have a very good game.
Nope.
The guys, I mean, I think who was it? It was
Van Vliet. Van Vliet hit big shots in the fourth.
He hit some big shots.
Him and Siakam at one point had 42 points of the Raptors' 85 points. Guess who was doing all the scoring, Knicks? Guess who's lit? If that dude is doing half of your point intake, that's the guy you need to sit there and guard.
I mean, and that's another game where free throw shooting killed them. They shot 11 for 18 as a team. Randall missed 5. And that's been a problem with him, I've noticed, more than any of the other guys. Randall has been bad lately. He's been good everywhere else. He's been playing well everywhere else, except for the free throw line.
Well, Indiana, he has 6 to ice the game. But that's one game.
Yeah, but like I said, after that, like I said, against the Raptors, he was 4 for 9. Last night, he missed, 1, I think, down the stretch?
Yeah, 1 in overtime.
No, he missed 2. Grimes
missed 2. I think he missed 2.
He missed 2 last night down the stretch. I know he missed big ones against Chicago as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's been, and again, this is what we always talk about with him is. I always use this. I use this moniker for the Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins because he's good enough. I call him just the tip because he's like that's what he is, and that's what how I'm starting to feel about Julius. Right, like just the tip. He's like that's who he is as a player. feels good, just the tip, but
This is a
the
family
rest,
show, man.
not gonna happen. So that's how. Yeah, it's a family show.
We're gonna get banned now.
But I have some bourbon, so it's a little bit less. It's more of a PG-13 show right
I
now.
like that one. Yeah, it still was clean.
But yeah, so like that's how I feel about Randall now. Like even when he plays well, and I feel this, like I said, I feel this way about Cousins. There's a lot of athletes I feel this way about, but even when they play well, they leave you wanting something else. Like you're always like, he was good, but there's always a but. He was good, but blah blah blah. And that's how I feel with him. So like I said, he's been good recently, yes, except for the fact that he hasn't hit free throws in the clutch.
Yeah.
Like those are the things when I look at what they paid him to do and how they paid him. I don't care you're not a superstar, but if you're the best player or the best offensive player on the team, you need to hit those shots. You need to hit those free throws. So I mean, all of that stuff is just now grating on me, right? Because we've said this many times, and I said this today in the chat. The Knicks are a mediocre team, right? That's what they are. Their ceiling is mediocrity. They're not going to get past that. But if they want to be the high end of being a mediocre team, they have to do the little things.
Yep.
The little things is what they have to do. They have to rebound the ball. They have to hit their free throws, and they have to limit their turnovers. Everything else, they're probably going to lose at. Like that's how I look at it already. They're not going to outshoot a team. They don't have enough shooters. They don't have the superstar player like Luka when things are
a shooter. I'm sorry, they have a shooter on their team. He wears number 17.
Well,
I'm just
well, they have two shooters. I would put Grimes and
no. I mean, like a guy
in that category. I think they both are very good shooters. I think. The
closest thing this team has to Steve Novak is a guy that wearing number 17 on the bench right now.
No,
and Tibbs does not play him. I'm sure we'll get to him in a minute because I want to murder him. not literally, but like he's horrible.
Just jokes. It's just jokes, fans.
It's all jokes.
What's worse, me saying just the tip or Craig threatening to kill somebody?
I don't know. We're gonna get banned pretty soon by both of you. So.
I'm kidding.
I'm a clean referee on this group. This is really not good.
I'm kidding, obviously, but he's very frustrated.
But I mean, it's fair, right? I've seen Mihailuk play. I watched him in college. He went to Kansas. I used to watch him there. The guy can shoot the damn ball. So I mean, and again, we're not asking for him to come in and play 30 minutes, but come in and stretch the floor a little bit. You're a threat at least. Stretch the floor. Give them give the rest of the team or rest of the defense, make them have to defend you, right? And that's the issue. I mean, that's the larger issue with this team, obviously. But yeah, like I said, the Knicks are just, like I said, they're mediocre, and they can be very good, a very good mediocre team, but they have to do those things I said. They have to rebound, hit your free throws, and limit turnovers. If they do and they have the players to do that. Like they have guys, they have good rebounders. Robinson's the best offensive rebounder in the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So they have him there. Julius has started rebounding again. Holy crap. Look at that. We said it earlier in the season. Where's the rebounding? All of a sudden.
Rebounding. Mm-hmm.
I mean, so that just tells me he can do that still. Like he still has the ability to do that. So I'll go back here. And this is the title, Curious Case of Julius Randle. Because I feel like we always rag on this guy, but we don't have a choice of anything else because he's the guy we were sold as our star, right? So guess what? Heavy, what is it? Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Wears the crown.
So there you go, man. I know Brunson got paid too, but for the most part, he's held up his end of the bargain this year. There's a few things, yes, I can complain about, but for the most part, he's been everything and more that I've wanted from that position.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy, again, he's been good recently. He's been better lately. But I mean, why do we see lapses in concentration? Why do we see lapses in effort? Why do I have to keep watching you do the same stupid crap over and over again? Like this is what I get to with him. You want to like I want to like him because he seems like a really good guy. Like off the court. Like I want to like this guy because he seems like he's a good father. He takes care of his kids. He loves, all that stuff that you want in a role model type player. He seems to be that guy, except when he's on the court, gets one play goes wrong, and then he becomes his son, his 4 or 5 year old son. However old his son is.
Like literally.
I mean, so that's why we're so hard on him. That's why we want to see more from him. That's why when he has 3 good games, we notice. Even when he's having a good game, we notice the bad stuff because you're not supposed to do that. Like, you're the guy we're supposed to lean on to make the free throws in crunch time, to hit the big shots. Like, that's what you got paid to do. So I don't know. Like I said, I beat on him enough, and it's not. He has played well recently, so it's really not fair. But again, you were the All NBA guy a couple years ago. So I'm sorry, but like you said, heavy is the head that wears the crown. That's your role for us. That's your role for the Knicks. You may not be built for it. You may not be ready for it, but that's the role they're paying you to play. So
I don't think he's ready for it. I don't think he's built. And this is not because I strongly kind of dislike him now as a player, but he's not built. I just don't know if he has it. He doesn't have it up here most of the time, right? If I have to see him spin and out of, like, I remember after the first game in Chicago, Kendall Gill, I remember watching the video, the post-game show of Kendall Gill, where the young lady who was with Kendall Gill said he's kind of spastic. He's all over the place. And we can sidebar that someone accused those two people of being ableist, but we'll talk about that later, right? But he is spastic. He is all over the place, and he's very hard to watch. Like, the fact that your handle is that loose that you think that it's okay to spin into double and triple teams and just go to the basket wildly is ridiculous. And the fact that there's no one there to corral that, should that have been Kenny Payne? Should that have been Mike Woodson? Someone on that coaching staff should be telling him to calm the H down. Like, it should not be that serious for you, that you have to be that way. You literally play like a toddler who, at Legoland, you want to run into everything and just break it. And again, I'm not saying he does it on purpose, but that's his default. And that's what's so maddening and frustrating, that he does it that way, that he plays that way. And no one controls him. Jab step, side step, three-pointer. Dude, stop. You're 6'9",
50 pounds.
250 pounds. You're a linebacker on the NBA. Play that way. It's so maddening and frustrating. There's nothing that he's necessarily doing that's egregious, but just watching him play the game of basketball is exhausting. And for Tibbs to be who Tibbs is and then be okay with that is so counterproductive to who Tibbs claims to be. You cannot be a taskmaster and be that, ardent in the way you think, and then allow this guy to do what he does. It's frustrating. You got to find a way to get rid of him. I'm sorry. You got to trade this dude. I can't say any of them. He's so frustrating, man. It doesn't even matter that he's playing unbelievably well, but he's just so frustrating. Give me a second.
He's so upset, guys. Craig had to offer.
Here we go. He had an exit stage left.
I mean, that was perfectly timed. but yeah, like, that's kind of how I feel. Like, I'm kind of with you on that.
It's always with him. It's always when you look at the NBA. Like I said, I watched this game for long years, and we had a talk a little while ago. I said about Luka. We brought up Luka and RJ. Those are a couple of things we brought up, and I said, I asked Eric. I guess I asked all you guys. I said, you think about it. I said, look at RJ, and I'm looking at Luka, and I'm like, Luka's very slow, very methodical. Like Eric said, looks like he shouldn't even be on the court. Like he wouldn't even be good. And I always said, what was the difference between him and a guy like RJ, who's also mechanical, not very athletic? Kind of his moves are very calculated. They're mechanical. Luka's the same thing. He's bursting with a burst of speed. But the difference is the wiring. I mean, when you look at a guy like Julius, he's got $100 body and a 10-cent mind. That's really what it comes down to. He has all the physicalities, physical gifts, You know, a little bit wild with some of the gifts he got. Sometimes you got to let guys know that even though you can do it, you shouldn't be doing it. Just because you can dribble, you shouldn't be dribbling. You know, you pick your spots when you got to do that. But that's a when, where, and why thing in the league. The great ones know when, why, and where to be. And we have a guy who was basically brought into the Knicks to have a role as a star player or the big signing at the time. And he inherited David Fizdale. Bad wiring. So that's one bad electrician. And then you bring in this new electrician. And all the lights are jammed up. And, you know, the circuits are blowing up. And, you know, you would hope that this guy was brought in to be a more professional electrician. But, you know, he's still, you know, screwing a spotlight into a 30-watt, you know, socket. And, you know, going, why are we electrocuting ourselves here? And that's basically the same thing with Julius. Like, I want to blame him a lot because, I mean, granted, a lot of it falls on the player's laps, but sometimes you got to have people in your life that save you from you. You know, save you from going down the road that you shouldn't be going. You know, be the disciplinarian that you claim to be, because if you are a coach who knows what he's doing, players are going to respect you. That's just how it has always been in the league. You know, Thibodeau, I told to someone, I think it might have been today or yesterday, I said, the guy can't coach talent. He can't coach talent. If you're an overly talented guy, if you have a lot of gifts, you know, especially athletic gifts, this guy cannot coach you. This guy wants guys who are very limited in their skill set, but are willing to work hard. He loves those guys. Those are the guys, the Joakim Noahs. Joakim couldn't hit a free throw. You know, he can't shoot a jumper, but he worked his ass off while he was on the court. He was willing to do all the grimy, gritty stuff. And that's really the mentality of Tom Thibodeau. He's a grinding, you know, I always said I told a few days ago, he's a blunt object. If you want a surgeon, he's not the dude. He's going to hit you in the head with a blunt object and knock you the hell out. He's not going to be cerebral and cut you up. That's just how he is. So he wants those kind of guys. So he's seeing a guy like Julius. You would think he'd say, hey, you know what? You're going to play off the ball. You know, we're going to run some sets where you're going to be able to score near it or near the post or whatever and get some easier baskets. You're a big dude. Why would you want to stay out on the wing in the first place? But he goes, no, you do what you want to do, because it's about the defense. This is all he's going to talk about is the defense. So you've had two bad electricians with a guy who's haywire to begin with. You needed a coach that he can bring in. I don't know who that coach is. Maybe like a Kenny. You know, someone who's a taskmaster who also knows the game well enough to be versatile and know how to pivot. We have not had any coach in a very long time that knew how to pivot. Maybe Mike Woodson, I guess, in a little bit, you know, was that guy. D'Antoni was all offense, didn't care about defense. You know, we've never had that balanced coach, you know. I don't know who. I don't know who. Maybe Riley.
I mean, again,
Riley picked the style and said, this is what it's going to be. And you're just going by the style, which, I mean, that's
Riley,
great. But get the talent to match it.
But he adjusted to the players he had, right? I mean, I'm going to show my age a little bit.
No,
here,
he
right?
did.
No, he did.
He went from Showtime to hit you in the face with a brick, right? So those are two different styles of, at least even I know that. He adjusted to what he had.
Ewing was his best player, and so he built the team around what Ewing does well, which was anchor a defense, a tough, gritty player, and low post half-court offense.
And even Van Gundy did that. And Van Gundy,
Van Gundy just did what he did.
Yeah, he just took the wheel. That's all.
Right. He the guy who tried to something different was Don Nelson.
Yes.
And the Knicks got rid of him very fast.
He was out here, as they say.
They were like, you know, this is not working for us.
Anthony Mason point guard versus Beast Mason. Ain't gonna happen.
Yeah. Like he tried to make Anthony Mason into like the Chris Mullin type player that Chris Mullin was with Golden State.
Yeah.
And it just didn't. Like Chris Mullin could shoot, Mason couldn't, so kind of killed that. But I mean, it sucks again with Randall. I hope something happens along those lines. If the Knicks stay around this way that they are, the win 8, lose 4 type of thing that we're seeing, and who knows, maybe 5, I have no idea. But if they stay in this mediocre world, I'm hoping that the front office says, we need to do something, right? We need to move on from some of these guys. I don't think just because he's homegrown, I don't think that guy will be Barrett. Just because I think there's something to drafting a player and keeping him home, and So I think obviously Fournier and Reddish and those guys quickly might even be part of a deal, but they need to do something with one of the star players. And I mean, Randall to me is the guy, because I can honestly see him eventually getting to the point too, like saying like, I want out of here. I can see him doing that. I can see Randall getting to the point where he's like, yeah, I don't want to be here anymore. Not only because of the team or because of what they might be stuck in mud in his mind, but also because the fans, like we're doing, are very quick to point out his flaws over the other players.
But is he not the mud?
So
he is the mud.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's fair to say. Yes,
but he is the mud, and I don't. Again, I don't want to take anything away from him. Good husband, good father, good number 4 option on the team, number 3 op. But he's
3.
I don't want to see like I'm piling on a guy because it's all too easy to do that in today's climate with everything. It's to pile on a person, right? But he's not doing anything that is making the Knicks better. And I think that's a fair thing to say, right?
That's kind of where I'm at. Like that's kind of what I'm saying with him is, okay, highest Brunson, whatever, but he's been here, so he's the highest profile player we have, right? He's the guy who they paid to be the star of the team, right? Like all the stuff that you want in this type of player, the Knicks are trying to give him and make him, and he's just not. He's like I said, he's just the tip. He's just good enough, just getting it there.
Tip it.
Right, but he's not taking it to the next level. And therein lies the rub. That's where I think we have this disconnect with what's going on with the team. On top of the fact that the coach doesn't seem motivated to do anything about this either. And that's kind of the other side of this. I didn't create a banner for this one, but that's kind of the other side of this. We've kind of seen the best and the worst of Tom Thibodeau in these last 12 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we've seen what can be when teams play his style and they execute it and they do this, they play it well. You can see the success they can have, but then you also see the limitations that style has. And you see the limitations because he doesn't make in-game adjustments. Like there's just things he doesn't do. So when something goes wrong within his style, it's like, that's it. Like he kind of was like, okay, well, you guys need to figure it out. And that's not what you get paid for. So that's one of the things these 12 games have showed. And I think even the strictest supporters of his, I think would probably agree with that. I think even the guys who love him to death and think he's a very good coach, he's a good coach. I'm not saying he's a terrible coach. He's not. He's a good coach. He can get you to a certain point, but his style wears thin. And if you're not seeing the results, this is what happened in Minnesota. This is what happened in Chicago. It's the same thing we're seeing now with the Knicks, even though he swore he changed. Like you're not seeing it in reality. That's what you're telling us, but the reality is that's not really happening. You always, and that makes sense because most of us in life, if something's going wrong, we revert to what's comfortable and what we know because we want that's our comfort space. That's what we know. And we're like, no, we're gonna get this to work. And that's just not the league nowadays. Like that's not what the NBA is anymore. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what the answer is. I don't see the sad thing again about being mediocre is if they stay in this range, the Knicks are going to stick with them because why should they move on? Hey, we're a playoff team. The East isn't as good as we all thought it would be. That's the other thing. The East
that's true. That's right? Very true.
So they could make the 6th seed. The Knicks could be the 6th seed. Very well could be. Unless something changes, they could very well be the 6th seed. And right now they're tied with the Pacers and the Heat. They all have the same record. So for 6, 7, 8, like they're in that clump. So I could see them being the 6th seed. Why not? So I don't know. Like we're kind of stuck in this. Like if Randall's the mud, then Tibbs is the water that makes the mud because,
I, I
like,
I think it's safe to say that Tibbs. I mean, this is not really a hot take. He's a mediocre coach. I don't see nothing great about him or
fair.
anything not great about him. He's dead in the middle. He's enough to get you somewhere, but he's not enough to get you over the top. I've always said that I always felt he was he's a great assistant coach who ended up getting a head coaching job due to winning the ring with Doc Rivers, who at the time was the head coach. I think he's a great balance. Like him and Mike D'Antoni would probably have the greatest team on the planet because you would
Fair.
have the greatest balance of defense and offense. Tibbs could stick to what he loves doing and Mike to what he loved doing, and together they probably make a magic of a team. Literally with covering both ends of the spectrum. But you have a mediocre coach, you have a mediocre player, and you have a franchise that's dwelling in mediocrity. Like you either got to full on embrace a tank, or you got to embrace a championship. And the Knicks are more needing to embrace a tank than a championship because the playoff thing is just always to me just a myth. I mean, you're going to get bounced out. You're going to get bounced out in the first round unless you face like some team that's injured and by some stroke of luck you just so happen to squeak by and get into a second round. But nobody's mistaking this team as a Eastern Conference champion round team. They're not going to get to the finals, Eastern Conference, I should say. You're talking maybe with the best luck getting out of the first round. But you can't. A team with Julius Randle as any focal point that requires him to mentally be engaged is going anywhere. It just won't happen. That dude will melt down at some point, lose his oodles of noodles, and you're just
That's
done.
true.
You're just done, and then that's for the whole series. Because
But it's already been
unlike what
proven.
we saw with Luka, who argues with the refs, Luka doesn't leave the game mentally arguing with the refs. It's just part of him being an annoying person that loves arguing with the refs and thinks he's supposed to get all the calls. Jokic is the same way. He sometimes lead the league in text too, because they argue. They're just complaining guys. But Julius checks out once he starts arguing. One bad call. Eric pointed this out, and I mean, it's just like it's like perfect because Eric's like, "Oh God, he's gone." It's like whatever quarter it happens, it's like he's done. He is
I always
done the
noticed
rest
it,
of the
yeah.
game, and the little wars that he gets into with the referees. There was one time he like literally like there was no foul, and he went over and complained. I'm like, dude, they got to dislike you at this point because you went over and argued something that you had no room to argue about. They're probably like, oh, here he comes again. And that does affect the refs whistle down the line of the game, whether they want to say they're not biased all they want. We learned that they can be biased.
It's human nature.
When he
It's human
gets
nature to be
to a
biased.
clutch point where he might have been the person that got fouled, they're going to be like, I didn't see anything because you were complaining for 3 quarters.
Yeah, like I don't know.
This
Again,
falls in the front office too.
yeah, I mean, it
front office,
does.
front office is a problem.
It does. I mean, it
Well,
definitely.
right now,
falls.
Leon Rose is a problem because clearly, like I said the other day, this is the perfect time to trade Julius. If you were going to ever trade Julius Randle, the one that you went through a year ago where he was terrible, he was absolutely terrible. He's bounced back now. His value is near where the MIP was year. That's where his value is now. People are looking at him going, oh, Julius is an all-star. See, when those echoes start happening, it would be prudent for the Knicks to do real business and say, we're going to send you somewhere you might want to go, and we're going to get assets for you. Because wouldn't you not just take those 2 Lakers picks right now for him for the first whatever down the line first rounders, where the Lakers will probably suck sometime at that
Take
point?
one of them.
Take one of them. You take one of them in a player. You take it and run. This guy's not going to win. You if you're not winning big with that player you're paying a lot of money to, then you got to get rid of him. It's not like he's Dame Lillard or Bradley Beal. He's not those dudes. You got to get rid of him before his value shrinks again because it's going to happen. The first, if he gets into the playoffs, the meltdown is going to happen, and then it's going to be on the biggest stage, much like we saw last night. Well, you guys didn't see it, thank God. You would have probably did the Oedipus thing and stabbed your eyeballs out. But I'm just saying, it was just that bad of a showing where the Knicks are a laughing stock this morning. The Knicks are a laugh. This is the worst laughing stock that.
It's one of the worst
all the
losses
stuff that
they've
has
had
happened
in
to
a
the
long
Knicks,
time.
and there's been a lot of stuff that happened to the Knicks. But when I think about when you start hitting historical numbers, where a player achieves something historical, and then you lost historically. This is like when Thibodeau last year, those 3 to 4 straight games of 20-point losses, turnarounds. You were up 20 and you lost by 20 for 3 straight games. This is a Leon Rose issue because he needs to move this guy and say, if we're going to keep Julius and we have all these other guys, because I think the Knicks are talented. I don't think that's the issue. That's for the once in our lifetime. It's like the Knicks are not lacking talent. They're lacking coaching and discipline. The kind of discipline that say, hey, you box out. You box out. You know what? You didn't shoot your free throws. Guess what we're doing all for the next week? You want to act like you can't shoot a free throw? Then you're saying you're going to be practicing free throws until you don't want to see the free throw line anymore. You need that kind of coaching in here to say, hey, look, we're not going to tolerate. We're going to keep our minds in the game. And that's where the issue was. Last night, if they box out on that rebound, if you just box out, somebody accounts for Luka, he can't get to the ball. He's on the free throw line, mind you. This guy comes from the free throw line and he snatches a rebound out of 2 of the Knicks' hands. And if you had a tall lineup, like when Kid brought in JaVale McGee. Now, all this other time you've had Hartenstein in the game, like playing like he's like, Keith Van Horn, I mean, you got him in the game and with Jericho Sims and like I always said, they're the twin showers, not the twin towers. And you had the twin showers in there. But you put a small lineup when it comes to getting a rebound. A key rebound that he's going to miss.
A guy who had 20 of them already.
Rebounders in there, 3 best rebounds said, gang the ball. Whoever's in there, gang. That's what a coach would have did. During that time, I'm sending in my best rebounding unit. They got it on 2K3. 2K23. You want a rebound team in there? You put your best rebounding team in. This guy's like, nah. I'm gonna put 6'1" McBride in there because he's a handful on the board. So are you serious? You could have had Grimes. Grimes should have been at best the guard looking for the long rebound. But you should have had your bigs up in there snatching the damn boards. I mean, who puts a small lineup in to gang bang a board? Think about that. JaVale McGee can jump. Last time I checked.
He can. He's a good athlete, yeah.
He can jump.
And he's tall, so.
And Kid made that one strategic move. JaVale hadn't played all game. Think about that. He played not all game, but he says, I'm bringing him in here for this rebound opportunity. And Thibodeau knew he had to miss the shot. That's the only way the Dallas Mavericks could ever win that game.
It's
or
true.
tie it was to miss the shot. So they knew he was purposely going up there to shoot it. So you think it'd be prudent to say, my best rebounders are going to game. Jericho Sims, you get in there. Robinson, you're in there. Hartenstein, get the damn board. That's all you had to ask. Get the damn board. Julius, get gangster the backboard. You're getting the board. You put the smallest two guys on there. Grimes is not a big dude. Grimes is not a big dude. McBride's not a big dude. I'm telling you, that dude, you won't win anything in New York with that guy as your coach and him catering to a guy in Julius Randle who is definitely not that kind of guy you cater to. The Knicks franchise, the Knicks org has a huge issue. And I'm done talking about Thibodeau. Leon is a problem now. It's been Leon's show. Somebody who cannot see that this is you're reaching a dangerous point with this is a franchise because you can't get better. Because if you're not in the lottery, you can't get better. And if you can't get free agents, and then the value of your product on the floor is losing value, that falls on now the president of the Knicks because you've devalued Obi Toppin. What are you gonna get for Obi? What would you get for Obi if you were to trade from now? What would you get for Obi? Second rounder? Maybe second round, maybe late first.
Dude,
Maybe
when he comes back, if he comes back, because Lord knows we got that news too. So if he comes back, like they have to play him. They have to fit him into this rotation. Like there's no way around it. So someone's coming out of it. I don't know who that person is. Probably gonna be Sims. Sims is probably losing his minutes. But he has to play. Like he's their most dynamic player they have on the team.
The most.
So right. So he has to play. So Craig, you've been itching. Go ahead. What you want to say?
I'm trying to be professional because I want to respect your product. I want to respect what you put together here. But
no. Go ahead.
It's so asinine. Again, listen, I don't say I love Leon Rose, but I like Leon Rose. I like Leon Rose being able to do what he's done as besides Donnie Walsh, what other GM and Grunfeld, right? Besides those two guys, what GMs have we had to be able to bring some level of stability to the front office, right?
Mm-hmm.
You poach a bunch of players from Utah. I'm sorry. You poach a scout and an assistant coach from Utah. You get Brock Aller from Cleveland. You bring in people who know how the NBA works, right? Mm-hmm. And I hate to psychoanalyze people because my wife says it's the biggest thing I do and it's my biggest downfall. But sometimes it seems as though Leon Rose in this front office does not want to admit they made a mistake. You've made two mistakes. Possibly Thibodeau. I'll give him a little leeway on that. And although I understand the Randall extension, it was a bad move.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bad move. I think we can all admit that right now. I understand it.
Yes, it was. I said it from the beginning.
Yeah, and I fought you on that, and I apologize. But it was a bad move because now it's coming back to bite you in the butt.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Once whatever game that was, Leon Rose was sitting on the sideline, he butt tapped Julius Randle. For me, I knew that something drastic would have to happen before they traded this dude. They wouldn't. They don't know how to pivot. It appears they can't admit they made a mistake. And I hate playing Monday morning quarterback professionals because I don't know if I could do their job, right? But what more can you do at this point without trading this dude and firing this coach? You play it across. What's the word I'm looking for here? They're way too prudent in the decisions that they make, right? They're calculated, but they don't want to prove they can take a risk. And the risk of this would be either firing Thibodeau and or trading Julius Randle. What fear do you have about making a drastic change? Because you don't want to, because you're an agent, you're a former player agent that you don't want to, you don't want to repeat what Phil Jackson did.
It's looking like that too. But yes, go ahead.
Yeah, yes, I agree. You paid this dude $18 million still on the bench. You traded a first round pick for Cam, and then you allow Thibodeau to not play either one of these dudes, even if it's for 3 or 5 minutes in that game against Dallas. Something could have changed. Something could have helped you win that game. And the fact that they're allowing him to stick to a strict 8 to 9 man rotation is beyond frustrating.
The thing that bothers me now is I understood it when your team was whole. You don't want to play those guys. Like, yes, RJ should get those minutes and Brunson because they should, but they weren't there. We didn't have them last night.
Yeah.
So, play Fournier. Maybe he hits a shot. Maybe he hits a big free for you.
You
give Cam a shot.
You don't keep the rebounds.
You don't keep sending Grimes to the line.
Right.
And
Cam,
one of those free throws.
As much as maddening as Cam is, he's hit some big shots this year. Right?
He can play Luka. He's got the length to play.
Right.
Luka.
He's taller. Exactly.
It's frustrating. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm such a petty, vindictive person. If I'm Leon Rose, I'm calling, run down, call someone from the locker room, hand the phone to Leon and say, "Dude, you better play these dudes. Play somebody." How can you sit at home and watch these games as a general manager or president and not be like, "What are you doing?"
Because Tibbs controls the analytics. He is the analytics department. He's not paying attention to the analytics. He's paying attention to the Thibodeau. That's what that is. That guy doesn't answer to anybody. That's the thing I think people are missing, that he is his own boss. He's not answering to nothing on the front office at all.
Right. And obviously they have a friendship, right? So, you would think like with my friends, I would have no thoughts picking you up and saying you're screwing the hell up. Like you're messing up. Do something. You would think that that's the relationship you should have with someone you consider a friend. That you could call them and say, look, this is not working. And I think that did happen because they started playing the younger guys. So I think he did get tips to say, yeah, you know what? You have to play the young guys, but you still have to be prudent. Like not the way Craig was talking about, but you got to be prudent with what's going on in the game. Like if something's going on in the game, you have to be able to look at it and say, yeah, we need something. Like we're missing something. We need someone to make a shot. Like last night, you didn't have literally. Hold on a minute. You were missing 40 points from your offense.
Yeah.
Barrett didn't play and Brunson didn't play. Both of them combined averaged 40 points. So you had to make up 40 points. Grimes gave you a good game. So Grimes gave you some of those points. But when you're getting bogged down, when things aren't happening, when one guy is pretty much killing you and you don't do anything to slow him up, like Steve said before in the chat, they didn't double Luka once.
Didn't double him once.
Didn't make him give up the ball.
And would have been good last night because no one on Dallas was hitting a shot.
Yeah.
So it was best to double him, force it out of his hand, and say, now one of you guys beat me. Because none of them could beat him last night. They were searching for guys that could get hot. And I think Woods probably was their best three-point shooter last night at one point where he was hitting shots. But after that, like I said, the normal snipers were not sniping. So it's like, why would you not? But it goes back to that old stubbornness of someone not. Craig brought it up, not admitting your mistakes. Well, Thibodeau is one of those guys that he will not admit because what took place in the press conference after was like, oh, was there a reason, something against you? Basically, I'm paraphrasing. Was there a reason that Cam and Fournier didn't play? Like, oh, the way the game was going, he's like, so does this mean that they're out of the lineup? Somebody basically asked him that. Oh, no, they're not out of the lineup. Well, dude, this would have been the game that you would have – say you dislike Cam. Fine. You don't got to play Cam. Throw Cam out in the water.
It's maddening.
What did Ev do to you? What did Evan Fournier, a guy who excels in FIBA, looks like he's like the best player in the world with playing in FIBA, but you can't get this guy one chance to hit the buckets that McBride couldn't hit? You're not giving him, and they were always talking. Allen spoke last night. He says, "Oh, these guys like they approach the him and Rose practice like they're going to go play the game. Still, they don't practice like they're out of the rotation. So Ev is ready. Derrick Rose is ready. It's not like these guys, and they're not afraid of big moments, man. Ev has a resume, at least with Boston, that we've seen when this guy is engaged and locked in.
Orlando, definitely.
He like erupts. You can't stop that guy from shooting. And you would think that Thibs last night is like, man, we need somebody to settle the troops down. Julius is out there trying to do whatever he does, and Oodles and Noodles is going to lose it. You know that. The most steady guy probably would have been an Ev or a Derrick Rose to say, this moment's not too big for me.
Derrick Rose played 12 minutes.
12 minutes. And Derrick didn't look like Derrick either. Derrick
No.
Derrick is that's the thing about it that to me, it's like you're playing a guy like Derrick Rose, and I love D Rose. I'm a fan of D Rose. That was probably not the game you bring him back in or try to maximize him when you know he's not that guy right now. You should have brought in the other guard, which was Evan, who could have came in and gave you some minutes of stability, hit some shots, calm you down a little bit. They act like Ev wasn't trash. Ev's not a trash player. He can play guard. He can play point guard. He was a combo guard until he got to New York. Now he's the guy that sits in the corner and got to wait for the ball. I never understand that. You think he couldn't handle dribbling the ball or playing some defense on Luka? He did happen to be one of the best steal guy who I think he was one of the leaders in steals just the season ago.
Yeah.
So it's like, wait a minute, this guy can't get no burn.
And that's the other thing too. Like he knows Luka because of his European.
Euro
Like
game.
he plays in he played in the EuroLeague, so
Brunson
he has
knows
an
him.
idea, right? Like Brunson wasn't available, but
Yeah, but I'm saying in terms of
yeah, like I don't know, like this. We could go around in circles about Tibbs and the rotation and the players. Point is, last night they had a chance. They should have won that game
Should have won a game.
with it, whether just hit your free throws. And
it's
I
embarrassing.
mean, it is. It's annoying. But there have been some good things going on with the young players.
Yeah.
So let's first start with Quentin Grimes. During the 8-game win streak, he was a revelation.
Yeah.
And the defense with him in the game is markedly better. So he and last night he even showed the offensive side of his game. Which I couldn't believe he took 25 shots. I saw that. I like he led the team in shot attempts, which is weird for me. But I mean, there's clearly something there with him, right? There's something more. We saw a little bit of in summer league, but now I think the confidence is building. He's feeling more confident, and he's proving that he was the 5th ranked high school prospect in his class. He's proving why that was the case, right? He's starting to show the other facets of his game. But the defense is really where he's making his mark, mostly for the team, because if for the longest time it was like, well, if Mitch is out, the defense, forget it. It's not even worth it. Not even worth talking about. But with him in there too, with both of them, like the Knicks defense was actually playing very, very well. So that was one of the good things to come out of that win streak, is that Grimes got more playing time. The Knicks defense adjusted. The last few games it's kind of reverted a little bit, but not as bad, because teams still aren't going crazy from 3 against them. Like Dallas shot only 28% from 3. So now though it's been more hacking. Like they're sending teams to the line at a ridiculous rate. So that's what's been the issue. That's been the new issue going on. So that's one of the things. So what have you guys seen from the development of Grimes? And he was the guy who held up the Mitchell trade, if you believe the story. So what do you think? We're going to talk a little bit something about Mitchell trade too again, but Ty, what do you think Grimes? How has he looked to you and his development?
He looks awesome. It's funny when learning about that. He was the holdup for Donovan Mitchell, as what they say. I started watching like a lot of clips on him, YouTube clips, and looking at his game, and I kept wondering. I said, he reminds me, and I've shared this with you, Eric. He reminds me a little bit of Mitch Richmond in a lot of ways. Like if you watch highlights of Mitch Richmond's game, then watch highlights of Quentin Grimes, you'll see a lot of similarities, even on their finishes underneath the rim and how they attack. Mitch Richmond also was a very strong but yet short dude. They called him Rock. Grimes has a lot of grittiness to his game. And then watching more so, I said he was a hybrid between Mitch and Allen Houston. That's what he reminds me of, those two guys. They had a baby together. The shot is there. He showed a lot of playmaking last night. Why they kept him. But my question is, why are you not seeing more of that? It's like, why is this guy being less featured? Like, he's basically saying that, no, we just want you in here defending. We don't want you doing anything else. We had a discussion, I think, on the thread earlier, the podcast page, about where you see more dynamic in his game, but this coach is not allowing him to do more of the things. We need an off-the-bounce playmaker. This guy proving that he can. He hits Mitch in the pocket with some great passes. He hits Julius with great passes. He can absolutely fill up the bucket. It's like he could be a 3-level scorer. Like, if he gets a little bit of a post game going where he backs a guy down and can shoot over him, we got a very dangerous young talent. He looks like he is the 5th player in his high school class. And to know we got him at 25, he's going to be on the most reasonable contract moving forward for a long time. So, he should be getting more. I mean, the problem with the Knicks offense is that it becomes an isolation offense. You're not as great as Brunson is. He's not feeding the babies. He's just basically, I can go one-on-one, I can get my bucket. I'm going to put my head down, as Eric said. He puts his head down, like he's praying, and then he goes into the lane and he does his own work, and it's over. but no one else got involved in the game. And we have 3 players that kind of put their head down and run to the basket and bully their way there. So, but Grimes' game has layers to it that not just he's not a 3-and-D player only. He's definitely not that. He has a lot of playmaking ability. Someone compared him to Desmond Bain. I don't know if I see that comparison as much, but little Klay Thompson in his game. See a little bit of that. The ability to pull up off the dribble and get to the bucket. He is more athletic than people think he is because he's finished around the rim with some nice dunks. And the rebounding last night, that was the one key thing I loved about his game. He was in there snatching rebounds against bigs and he backed off of no one last night. That was the whole thing. There was no backing up. He went in there, much like his name, he got grimy inside the paint, willing to board, willing to go in there and fight. So the Knicks got a talent. I think they got their starting 2 guard for the future, if that's what he's going to be. Man, I just wish they had a better coach. I always go back to the same thing. A better coach is seeing this talent because, I don't know, I read somewhere where they said that, they asked about, I guess during the Mitchell trade, was who was the better player. I think they asked Jerry West, and he said he liked Grimes over Barrett from what I read. So, yeah, I mean, when Jerry West says that, you can just go home. I mean, that I know it fits to RJ, but that just shows you what kind of talent that guy must have if Jerry West sees something great in him. So we got to steal.
Yeah, Grimes to me, I mean, you mentioned Richmond and Allen Houston. To me, I see a little Michael Redd in his game.
Mm-hmm.
A guy who was a good outside shooter, not super athletic, good inside, was crafty around the basket, could finish it in multiple ways. Fast. Michael Redd was a fast player, wasn't exactly a huge leaper, but he could run. Mm-hmm. Grimes is pretty fast to me. So that's what he reminds me of. And I remember when he went to Kansas at a high school and he didn't look right there. Mm-hmm. And I used to, because I like Kansas, so I watched them. He didn't look right there. And then when he went back, he transferred to Houston, which was closer to home for him. And that's when he really flourished. I think Kelvin Sampson was his coach, so that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. But that he really started to flourish there, and he started to he was the type of player who just needed a little more time to be seasoned a little bit and to grow into his skill set. And we're seeing it now. And it's been very, very cool to watch his development, not only from last year, but last year to this year, to summer league, and then now to the regular season, how he's kind of taking steps and he's kind of, slowly, gradually making that climb, which is what I think development is. So if anything, if the Knicks have developed any players thus far, it looks like he might be the guy I can look at. I don't know who to credit for it. He's probably like 80% of it anyway, but he's definitely been a revelation, specifically with how his impact on the team defense.
Yeah.
It's just so much better when he's on the floor. So he was the one guy. And then I used the disgusting term, but there we go, dropping the deuce. Of course, with Deuce McBride. So Craig, I'm gonna let you tackle this one. What have you noticed about McBride, I guess, from last year to this year, his development and how much better he's gotten, not only on defense, but just in confidence in playing the game?
I just think that he is what Frank Ntilikina and Tony Douglas were supposed to be. He may not be as good a shooter as Tony Douglas was because he's got a little bit of a hitch in his shot that a little hard to watch. But you know how I am about
shot doctor Craig.
Never made a shot in my life, but I'm just aesthetically it doesn't look good. But he's what Tony Douglas and Frank Ntilikina were supposed to be. He has the height of Tony Douglas, has the length arm wise that Frank had, right? Mm-hmm. But he's actually a point guard, right? He can get to the basket. He's strong. He's gritty. He doesn't make bad decisions.
Football player.
Yeah, he doesn't make bad decisions. He just can't shoot, right? But if you leave him open, he can hit a jump shot.
He hits him. He
can hit him, but it's just he's a Tibbs player, right? He's definitely a Tibbs player, but I mean, he does what we want a Nick player to be, right? He's a Derek Harper, but he's not a shooter like Derek Harper was, right? Is that fair to say? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
gritty.
Yeah, he can go out there and he's not afraid of anybody. And when him and Grimes on the floor at the same time, it's
Yeah.
over. It's over defensively, and that's a great thing to see.
Mhm.
It's just that the other part of his game isn't really. And he can get to the basket. I give him that. He's a little sneaky. He can get to the basket, and he doesn't miss and ones. I've noticed that about him. When he gets to the basket, if he's getting fouled, he's going to make the shot.
It's a football, like I say, it's a
Yeah.
football player.
He you
There's no
know,
fear. There's no fear.
and he's not afraid to dunk. Like he will try to dunk on you a couple of times. But he's good, but he's not great. He's what the team needs. I'll use Frank as an example. I always said this: if Frank Ntilikina played on a team with KD and Kyrie, if those two guys actually came to New York, Frank would be perfect to play alongside those dudes. And I think if you put Grimes next to two really good players, he'd be perfect. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but that's what I see.
No, it makes sense. He's a utility player. It makes sense.
Yeah, I think the thing I like about him, and I want to see a little bit more of it because he's still kind of, I think, feeling his way about how to be an NBA level point guard, because I think that's probably where he needs to work a little bit more. That's the one place I would say the confidence with the floor leadership. I still don't see it yet. Like, I think he thinks too much. Like, instead of just throwing the pass, he thinks, should I throw this pass? And by the time you do that in the professional level, the play's over. Like, it's not there anymore. So that's what I think. But defensively, him and Grimes together have changed the potential of what this Knicks defense could be. And I think that's been the biggest revelation. My only question is, and again, this is going to go back to Tibbs, but what took them so long? Seriously, why did this take? Well, I understand they wanted to play Cam, and I understand Derrick Rose makes money, and I understand Evan Fournier again, but it should have been a week. Like, it should have been the first week of the season, and when it didn't work, that's when they should have been like, "Yeah, we're playing the young guys. Like, we get it. If we need you guys on the bench, like last night, would have been a perfect example, even though he didn't go to him anyway, like Ty talked about. We'll bring Evan, we'll bring Derrick in, we'll let them play if we need them. But what makes us more athletic, what makes us more adaptable, is playing the younger guys. And I know Derrick Rose is a great athlete. He still is. He's still a great athlete, but not in the way this team needs him to be. So you play McBride, who, like I keep saying, is a former football player, big guy, physical, doesn't mind mixing it up a little bit. That's what you want your defensive players to be. Same thing with Grimes. They both pick guys up full court. Like, that's the kind of stuff you want from them. And I just think, had they done this earlier, I mean, they're 18 and 17. Maybe they're 20 and 15, or maybe, I'm just saying, maybe they're they have a few more wins, and the team would have been balanced sooner. I think that was a big issue early in the season too. Like, the floor was unbalanced so many times, and now we're seeing it's a little bit more balanced. And I just feel with both these guys, with him, with McBride and Grimes, I fought with John about playing McBride. Remember in the offseason, we had a discussion. Yeah. And we talked about Quickly, why I thought Quickly was expendable. And I said, well, you have McBride, who was a Tibbs player, who's a much better defensive player. You could kind of put him in there, and he could take those minutes. I mean, he's not taking Quickly's minutes, as Quickly's still playing, but he's proven he has a role on this team. So, and Ty thinks he should be playing over him anyway.
Oh yeah, just take him out. Just take him out.
So yeah, we haven't talked much about. I didn't want to get on Quickly tonight because that could be a whole show. With the inconsistency that guy shows, like, there's some games he's brilliant, magnificent, and there's other games he's just completely trash, garbage, act like he never played basketball before. It's really, really a crazy, like, there are a few players in the league that are feast or famine. He's 100% feast or famine. There's no middle ground with him. Even though last night, I guess, with the assist, but I mean, I didn't even notice, like, he was making those plays. So in my head, the guys were just hitting shots.
Wait, hold on. Let me. I know we didn't want to go here with that. Let's go into the lane a little bit here. See, there's a difference in getting assists and assisting players.
Right.
Like getting baskets. those dudes was hitting shots. And I know technically, yeah, if I passed it and Eric hit a shot or Craig hit a shot, yeah, I'm getting the tally of the assists. But did I really set you up? The answer is no. You just hit a shot because I passed it and you said, hey, launch. And that's what was going on because Rhymes was locked. The dude would have hit on anybody. It wouldn't have mattered last night how locked he was from the 3-point range. Like I could have dished those dimes. I literally could have. He would have hit them. So it's like people like, oh, Emmanuel Quickly. They're like going on the broadcast. Oh, Emmanuel Quickly has an 8 assist. And I'm like, but those weren't Magic Johnson assists. Those weren't Jason Kidd assists. Wasn't Chris Paul assists. He hit guys that were just shooting at the time and like, okay, I'm loaded. I'm locked. I'm loaded. It wasn't because of his play. Those guys got open shots.
Right.
And that's the difference when you're talking about point. We talk about with Brunson. I'm holding IQ to the same standard I do Brunson. That, part of being a point guard is not what you can get off. It's about getting other people off with their shots. And that's the difference between being what you said, a floor sergeant and a floor general. He might have been a cadet. He was the floor cadet last night. Quickly was. And it's like they're like making a big deal. And it's like this dude will never have this game again. They're like, Emmanuel has hit his high on assists. Yeah, since last year. His high before that was 12, and he hit this one. He may never. I don't even. What did he end up with? Maybe 15.
Yeah, he only had 4 in the second half.
See, a point guard is going to get. He could have 22 assists by what they're saying the standard.
Right, even Chris Duhon.
Chris Duhon
What's that?
Was an NBA. Me and Eric going to say the same thing. Chris Duhon is an NBA point guard. He may not be good or great, but he's an NBA point guard.
He can get guys shots. Right?
And he is not. And Quickly is not Chris Duhon. No, I would take Chris Duhon right now as our backup point guard any day of the week.
Right.
He wasn't. It wasn't his. It wasn't because of him they got shots. That was the thing. And I'm listening to Allen. No offense to Allen, but I'm like, come on, God. Yeah, we can't always carry around the tiki torches for every Knick player who has this outstanding stat and go, oh, look how great they're playing. I don't want to call the dude trash. He just may have a few waste management T-shirts that he carries around every now and then at a game. He's under his jersey. And it's like, maybe a couple, little soil falls out of his backpack and it might be some empty trash cans.
He plays
dude.
like in high school. He plays like a high school player.
Yeah.
And that's saying from someone who, Quickly would destroy. He would destroy me.
He destroyed all of us.
But when I watch him play, it reminds me of 2 different levels. A high school player, and please do not just get us in trouble. But sometimes a WNBA player. It's one. I'm not trying to be like chauvinistic.
That's worse than just the tip.
Because sometimes it's hard to watch. Let's be honest. Sometimes it's hard to watch WNBA players play the game, right? So it's either high school.
I know what you're saying. Yes,
it's the whole shooting mechanics from the face. That you're shooting a push shot at 6'3", 6'4", and that's what's going to get you in trouble because you have no wiggle, and you're literally it's frustrating.
It goes back to what I've been saying about him forever. Stop trying to make him a point guard. His best asset is scoring the basketball. Let him do that. Let him score the basketball. That's all I want him to do. Let him come in, play 20 minutes a game.
Tibbs keeps trying to make him a point guard.
I know, and I don't understand. Like, I sit there and I'm like, okay, the games that he games ago, I forget which game it was. He had a good game though, but he was just shooting. Like, he was just coming off screens and taking shots. And I'm like, this is the player that he should be every game. Why are we giving him responsibility he can't handle? You're not a point guard. Let McBride learn that and do that. He's better at it.
He's more equipped to be the point guard.
Yeah.
McBride is.
Like,
the move that kills me, I've been watching this game for a long time. I've just never seen, and I'm going back to, they retired, they revealed Dirk Nowitzki's statue. and it's him fading away. You know, typical Dirk shot. That's the statue. Quickly does that in the lane. Like he dribbles and he's always doing this off balance.
From his face.
Yeah, from his face. And I'm like, why would you not do that extra dribble and go for a layup? Like you don't do no. Every once in a while he pulls out a layup, like a literal layup. Other than that, it's this falling, and it's not even and one because and one guys finish with more flair and better. It's more like it's just an awkward falling away. Like you have like no mechanics to your game. Like you have his dribble package is trash. Let's just put it where it is. He's got a garbage dribble package for an NBA player.
Exactly, but I will say this: he's true to his name. He's a quick player, right?
Yep.
He's got quick feet. So that's when I say you can get to the lane. Stop making life so difficult for yourself. You have that floater. Take that shot. That's a good shot. Take it. You're good at it.
Mark Jackson made a career off of it.
Yep.
Yes, take the shot. That's what you're good at. Don't shoot 50-foot threes. Shoot 20-foot twos, and then maybe a 22-footer every once in a while. Like
it's the most maddening thing I've ever seen of any player. He's actually regressed.
He has, and
he's regressed. I've never. It's Kevin Knox syndrome. The Kevin Knox that played in the first summer league never came to the Knicks. That dude never came to the Knicks. He got worse which is
the 1 month. He had 1 month.
1 month. He was rookie of the month.
He was rookie of the month.
And how is it possible that you become less seasoned as an NBA player the more years you play? I've never, in all my time of watching, I've never seen a guy get worse. But I mean, we do see a little bit of LeBron with his fundamentals. So when the best player in the league kind of has that, or the supposed best player in the league kind of has that regression where he's missing certain mechanics of his game, it kind of trickles down. Guy like Quickly, he has not gotten better. There's nothing better about his game. They said, Manuel Quickly got stronger, and he got whacker. And he got whacked. He did.
He's stronger. I'll give him that.
He's stronger, but his game is whack. It's like you didn't improve anything.
You know what it is? And this is something, it's not just basketball, it's a lot of sports. The more you give a guy, the more he has to think. So to me, an athlete, I obviously I didn't play professional sports. I did play 1 year of college football, so I can talk about it a little bit. Two things an athlete needs to be successful, especially at the professional level. First thing and top thing is confidence. A professional athlete has to be confident. He has to believe, and this is why every time a guy says, I don't believe anyone can beat me, that's how they have to think. No matter what level you are, first man to 15 man, that's what you have to think. You have to think you're the best player on the floor, on the field, on the court, at every time, at all times, but no matter what, because that's the only way you're going to succeed in this league. The other thing athletes need to do at professional level is trust what they know and just react to things and not think so damn much. Whatever got you here, whatever got you to the pros, that's what you need to do. You can develop and get better, but the moment you start thinking too much, like I said before, the play's over. The minute you think in the professional level, whether it's football, basketball, hockey, the minute you take that split second to think, should I do this? The play's gone.
It's gone.
It's over with. The guys are too fast. The league's too quick. It's just the professional level is so much different. So that's what I'm saying. With him now, when I watch him play, when he's bringing the ball up court, he's not playing basketball. He's thinking too much. He's saying, okay, I'm a point guard. I have to get these guys involved.
Yeah.
That's my job now. No. Your job is not to do that. Your job is to be the combo guard you were at Kentucky that made you SEC Player of the Year. That's who they drafted. That's who they want.
Yeah.
Don't listen to the coach. I understand the coaches are going to tell you all this crap. We want you to be this. We want you to be that. Guys like that never succeed. That's what happened. Like when Chris Childs left the Nets and came to the Knicks, that's what they did to him. And that's why he didn't work out. And that's why he got moved to the bench and Charlie Ward was named starter. Because Chris Childs just started thinking too much. I have to live up to this contract. I have to be this player. You can't do that at this level. The minute you start thinking as a professional, I hate saying it because it sounds terrible. When you think, you're dead. To me, it's no different than, like, I hate making the comparison to the military, Craig, maybe even police. If you take that split second to think,
Yeah, you're done.
You're done. So that's how I look at that's what I see with him now. I see when I watch him play, the guy who I saw as a rookie who was driving to the lane, throwing up the floaters, playing offensive basketball, being a spark plug type player, he's gone. And
Yeah,
that's the player they need.
he's done.
Yeah, like he's not here anymore.
I agree with you because I always think about when we talk about RJ, everybody's like, "Oh, RJ's got to go left. RJ's got to go right." What? Let me tell you, Avery Johnson won a ring going left. His whole entire, you knew which way he was going. He just knew he can get there, and it didn't matter what. No one came and said, "Oh, what about your right hand?" He's like, no, I'm gonna be all right with left."
We've seen it.
Clyde Drexler went only one way. If this is what got you there, much like you said, if this is what your game is, make them stop you. Make them stop you what you're great at. And quickly, I mean, it just baffles me, but it is mental because we've seen it a lot with Knick players other than Emmanuel. We see it with Dennis Smith. We've seen it with Frank Ntilikina. We've seen it with Kevin Knox. These guys who are teetering on mental stability, like you make them or try to reinvent them, they're wiped. They'll never be a player in the league again.
And I'm not talking about like supplementing your game, adding things to your game. You should do that. You should always try to improve and get better at certain things. But what you are at your core,
yeah,
that's what you need to be. Like stop trying to be so like you brought up Barrett. We've seen it this year with RJ. Like we've seen it in 2 months of the season. We've seen the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Last year we saw it too. Like we understand he's young and he's trying to figure out his way through the league, and you get it. But at the end of the day, you have to say to yourself, this is what I do. This is what I do well. That's what's going to keep me here.
Yep.
And then build out from that. But with Quickly, to me, it's been a completely mismanaged by the coaching staff. I don't understand the incessant need to make him into a playmaker. Like,
I think a little bit is this, and this is just, I mean, I'm guessing here, but I think it's because I hate to say it, as much like his name, I think Tom Thibodeau equates Emmanuel Quickly watches more film than anyone. He equates that to being basketball intelligence. Like, being that he studies the game so much, he can apply that. It's like anyone can. I mean, I watch a lot of basketball. I can tell you a ton of basketball information. That don't mean I can go play. I mean, that's the whole thing. You can have all the knowledge in the world of the game. I can sit here now and watch a game and call out plays, and you'll go, I was like, this was going to happen. When people watch with me, I go, this is going to happen. I see you might as well prepare for it. And sure enough, it comes down the line. Doesn't mean I can go out on the floor and see it. But I'm seeing it from a perspective of knowledge of watching enough basketball. That doesn't mean I can go out and be Jason Kidd. And that's the whole thing. Quickly's watching a ton of film. Yeah, he's in the film room. He's probably a very smart guy when you talk the game to him. But is it applicable? And it's not applicable.
Yeah, he's not applying it
for him. He's not a savant. A lot of that is much like Eric said, it's instinct. More you're reacting to things you see because you're processing it as quick on the floor. It's just they always talk about the speed of the NBA game is so much different than the college game. So you're asking a guy who really wasn't that guy to begin with. Guys like LeBron and Kidd, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, all the greats see the game 3 plays or 4 plays ahead. You can't ask a guy who's seeing his play right then and there to all of a sudden become that guy. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Jalen Brunson is our best point guard, and he doesn't even have that wiring himself.
No, he doesn't. It's very true. Like and that's the maddening thing. Like I said, I understand you want to develop players and make them better, but it shouldn't be at the expense of what got them to the league.
No, exactly.
Like, and that's the issue that I have with this coaching staff. Like I've seen it with not just with Quickly, it's been with other players, and you just kind of sit there and you're like, why are you messing with something that was working? Like I loved what he was when he first came on the team.
Yeah.
I really loved what Quickly was when he was a rookie and how well he played. And that was the guy I was like, oh, cool. I'm like, we have this like instant offense type player now. Like he can come in and give you points. Yeah, I could spell a little at point guard, but he's not gonna. His job is not gonna be let's get everyone involved, and that's what it's become. Like that's literally how he plays now, and I watch it and I see it. So it's just another thing with this team that you can look at and be like, well, yeah, we screwed that up too.
We have Obi. Obi's a sniper.
Don't even get. See, you had to bring up Obi again.
Obi's the sniper. When I look at,
like, come on,
he's the one guy when you watch him on the floor and you go, what?
God.
What in the hell is going on? What in the hell? Why is that guy in a corner like he's Klay Thompson? It's like out of all the people, your most athletically gifted player, you don't want him attacking the rim. You want him away from the rim, playing a perimeter game, and then they all buy into it at Madison Square Garden. All the announcers goes, oh, if Obi would make that shot, his game would be elevated. No, if Obi went to the basket, we would have a full-on terrorist on our team where guys would be like, get out the way. We don't want this guy. This guy's going to come in and yoke over us all game long. Run a pick and roll, he's going to murder you. These are things that should be his strengths, but this guy goes, nah. We're gonna make him shoot 3-point shots.
They took the tape and scouting. They watched him for Dayton, and went, nope. That's not what we want.
This message will destruct in 30 seconds. They just took it and they blew up. Mission Impossible.
The player who won National Player of the Year, best college basketball player of the nation.
We don't want that dude.
No, he's not the guy. We drafted him, but we really didn't want him.
Eric, I used to joke. My joke was about Obi, and I love Obi, so I wasn't trying to crack on him. I said he looks like Batman running around with the bomb. Like he never knew what he was going to do on the floor. So he was like, "Oh, am I supposed to go here?" And he was like, "No," and he just kept running around, and the bomb would blow up on him. It was like, "Oh," I said, I felt bad for that kid. You could tell he's a nice kid. He would do anything, run through a wall for Thibodeau, and it's like Thibodeau, instead of embracing that, goes, "We're gonna make Obi shoot 3." Who? Why would someone shoot a 3 with the athletic ability that guy has? Like his analytics is in his mind because they don't.
Why would you not want him closer to the basket, not only for dunks and stuff, but offensive rebound opportunities and things of that nature? With an athlete like that, he's got a quick double jump. Like his second jump is fast too. Like, why would you not want to keep him closer to the basket? I don't understand the logic. Yes, should he probably hit the 3 in today's NBA? Sure, but that shouldn't be his game.
His whole game is that like Obi shooting, and he was shooting at a great clip.
He was,
but you're wasting what makes him great.
Exactly, like I said, you're wasting.
What's great about him is not his shooting. It's like the 3-point shot should be a weapon in his bag, if called upon to have to hit an open jumper. But it should not be his whole repertoire, and that's part of the issue when you watch. It's with every player, even including Randall. I know we dog Randall, but it's all about being misused to your strengths. All the Knicks, there's not one Knick player, because even if you were doing the strength of Brunson, you would put 4 shooters out there or spread the floor and let him operate. Yeah. Even he's not being maximized to what he's great at doing. Julius on the block, not being maximized. We're playing him like a wing. Yeah, he's hitting 40% from 3, but it would behoove him to go into the paint and get people in foul trouble.
The reason they signed him was because of how he played in New Orleans, and we have not seen that player once.
Nope, not once. Not once.
The reason they drafted Obi was because of the athleticism and pick and roll possibility.
Not once. Not once.
I mean,
Brunson, RJ. RJ has always been a slasher. For 3 seasons they had him shooting 3-point shots on it, like he's a spot up 3-point shooter. I mean, think about
it. Took him like he had to be the one to be like, yeah, I can't do that. That's what it was. Like last year or the second.
Yeah. You're right. He said bump that. I'm not. Yeah, that's not me. I'm not.
He's like, that's not who I am. I gotta play who I am, and that's when he started playing well.
Same thing this year. You watch him. He goes, oh, these last 15 games or whatever, the switch kicked on. He's like, I don't know what happened that one game. He just came out when he had the 40-something points or whatever. He's like, look, let me show you why I was number 3. And he just came out with a vicious game. I mean, and it's like, why can't we find this guy all the time or feature him in some sort of way? Even like Grimes last night. You watch what Grimes was doing, and I mentioned that. I told you guys. I said they should feature him now because he's hot.
Yeah.
Why would you go down? No one else should. As a team, you looking at your dude and like, man, this dude's like, I'm gonna let you get 50 tonight. My boy's gonna get 50 tonight. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna feed you the ball. See, the Knicks don't got a guy, and I thought Brunson might have been that dude who have been like with RJ. All right, young buck, we're gonna get
Well,
you
he
your
was
50
the
piece.
other night he was, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you your 50 piece tonight. We try and get you to be an all-star. That's something Chris Paul would have done, or any of those dudes would have been like, let me get you your 50 tonight, so they can talk about you and get you on that level with Ja and Zion. They're not gonna be talking about you and my boy's good. But like I said, we don't have that kind of. I don't know if it's not the lack of leadership or does the coach demand it don't happen. Like I got a feeling like if RJ was at 49, Thibs would have probably pulled him out and said, "You're not getting 50." Somebody hit RJ in the leg. Hit him in the leg and then you lacerate his finger. You're not going for 50. Julius
Ice.
Julius is going to be upset if you get 50 and he can't.
Oh God. The sad thing is I can see that being the conversation, which is the sad thing. Like I could see that actually happening.
It's viable.
It's a viable possibility.
It's like don't disturb Julius. You know, it reminds me of what is it? Don't be talking about Miss Benita or Miss Benita, like Miss Jenkins. I mean, like Miss Jenkins on Color Purple. Don't be talking about Julius Randle. I mean, the minute you bring up that dude, Thibodeau, I mean, he goes like full Gatling gun in the post game. Don't you talk about? He's going to. He's like him and Wally. They love. Oh, because of Julius Randle's play. It's like
Wally. I have no idea where that comes from, but yeah, he's very much a
Wally's a chin surfer. He's no doubt about that.
Definitely is. Now there was a topic that I had. It was scandalous, and I forgot what it was.
About a trade rumor, maybe?
No, it wasn't a trade rumor. It was something that happened, and I was like, "Wow, that was crazy, stupid." And we talked about it before. I know we did, and I can't think about what it is.
This is a Knicks player you're talking about?
Yeah, it was something that happened, and I was like, "Really?" And hold on, I have to see.
Why Melo is in the Knicks by now?
No, Craig, that's your own thing that you're trying to make happen.
Yeah. It wasn't about Cam, was it? You said was it?
No, Cam. It was something that happened. Oh God, I'm forgetting. Getting old sucks. God, I hate getting old.
It definitely does.
Oh man.
I'm trying to think of who we were talking. I know you mentioned something about someone, and you said, "Oh, we're going to talk about that." But
yeah, that's what. And I can't remember because we started going down the path, and I said we're going to come back to it, and I don't remember what it was.
It wasn't about. Well, I mean, Randall's always a hot topic.
It wasn't. No, it wasn't Randall.
Wasn't Grimes?
No.
Brunson?
No. Damn, I can't think of it. It's driving me nuts.
I mean, we lost a pick because of Brunson. I don't think it was that you were talking about.
No, I didn't care about that.
Nobody cares about that.
Yeah, it is what it is. I'm trying to think who else is even Derrick Rose, perhaps?
It wasn't Rose. No. Oh, God, I can't think of it. Oh, it's driving me nuts.
Wasn't Quickly.
I'm trying to look at the phone now and see if I can pull it up.
Yeah, because you had said something about this controversy, something.
Yeah, there was something that happened, and I wanted to come back to it, and I can't remember.
Yeah,
it
was something you were saying about I know you did say about controversy.
I'm gonna wake up in the middle of the night and be like, ah! That's gonna happen. That is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna remember it.
Was it not RJ?
No, it wasn't. It was something. Was it the injury stuff? No, with Obi getting injured, and now we don't know. It wasn't that.
Yeah, because but it wasn't RJ's injury with the lacerated finger.
No, it wasn't that. Oh, God.
I know you were saying about it. You said we're going to come back to it, but now I'm like, you have to read your transcript tomorrow. Like, oh, it was that one.
Was it a trade or something?
I wish I had.
I believe it was something about a trade, right?
Was it?
About who?
A trade.
I haven't heard any trade rumors revolving around the Knicks.
I think it was because Ty brought something up, and then you said we'll get back to that. And I think it was about a trade. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Are there any trade rumors out there?
Well, Cam is always out there as a trade rumor.
I can't. No, there hasn't been much talk. I mean, like you said, Cam and Ev, obviously, those guys have been involved in most trade rumors.
Rose has been floated around a little bit.
Rose. I don't know.
Wait. There was somebody traded. We were talking about being traded. There was one trade. Who is it that I said those 3 players for 1 player? I said that.
Tobias Harris. You mentioned.
Tobias Harris. That's who it was.
Today you mentioned like the Knicks possibly trading for Tobias Harris.
Yeah. Ian Begley supposedly reported that there's interest with Tobias Harris.
I'll do it in a heartbeat.
Which I don't get.
I mean, it would probably be Cam.
This front office has to do something. I know making a move just to make a move doesn't make sense, but you have to do something.
Yeah, but what would adding him do? Like it'd be another, like it'd just be duplicating the same player again for the 3rd time.
True, I agree.
What would that do? If you're not removing Randall, or I hate to say it, or Barrett, but if you're not removing one of those 2 guys and you're adding Tobias Harris, what are you doing? You're not doing. You're not helping the team.
You're sliding Barrett to the 2 and then moving Grimes to the bench and then balances out your bench. That's what you're doing.
He would get balanced. That was my one.
He's not really a power forward. He's a.
Yeah, this is Joe. That's Joe, guys.
Yeah, I know. He's not a power forward, Joe.
Hey, we might as well, Joe. We got 1,500 of them anyway. So
he's a kind of power forward. He's a combo forward.
He's like a combo. He's like a small power
forward. He's Keith Van Horn. With way more athleticism.
I mean, do you want RJ back at the 2? I mean,
no, I don't.
I mean, him at the 2.
I like him playing where he is. He's good. He's fine there. Just keep him.
Unless Thibodeau wouldn't dare do a small ball 5.
He wouldn't.
Which would have been very beneficial for Obi.
We've seen it already.
Playing 5. And then, Toby's taking definitely somebody's starting lineup. And I don't know if you take Grimes out of the lineup at this point.
He makes what, 20-something million a year? He's
short. His contract is shorter than Ev's, and it runs along the lines of Derrick Rose. So
but it's asset mismanagement at this point. You're not playing Fournier. You're not playing Cam.
Yeah.
So
that's
what are you doing as a front office?
No, I agree with you. They should definitely do something. I just don't agree with being the something.
Give me
Zach. They have to do. See, wow, I didn't even know it was that bad. Joe just gave us the number. That's a lot of money for Tobias Harris.
Yeah, no, but it's
wow.
It's 1 year shorter than Ev's, and the same because you're going to be paying if you can't get rid of Ev. Ev, I think this is what always kills me about this guy's not even playing. He's collected $19 million on the bench. Derrick Rose is making $13 million, so that's $30
million on the bench.
On the bench, so. When you look at Tobias Harris, who's 2 years left on the contract, at 37, it sounds egregious. And you have Cam sitting there, who you're not going to get a bucket of, Popeyes for at this point. So you're sitting there with those 3 guys. Would you not rather have someone who's productive for the next 2 years, as opposed to these guys just sitting there and you've got no value, no usage for them?
They're not doing anything. And then
they're going to die on the bench.
And the one thing I've commended the front office and Leon Rose for is trying to appear more stable and player friendly to the league. Just think about it, you're doing the complete opposite.
Oh yeah, he's terrible right now.
You have Fournier and Cam sitting on the bench, and how does that look? How does that look to other players? So I
just hate where they are because it's like I said, it's mediocrity, right? You're in the Atlanta
stuck right in it.
So,
but they're not even the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks were stuck in mediocrity for a while, right? But you're not even the Hawks.
What do you like? You're kind of stuck in no man's land. Like, what do you do? Do you make a trade for a player and make a run, or do you just trade off a player and say, "Screw it, we'll go with what we have"? And if we make the playoffs,
they're Chicago Bulls right now. To be very honest, Chicago just don't got Lonzo. That's the only difference than we do. We got a Lonzo type. That's all.
Call Chicago for either Levine or DeRozan. I don't care at this point.
But they have just as good. They're not any worse than we are. Like they're in the same area.
But don't the Knicks at this point need a shot in the arm? If you're going into the idea we're going to make the playoffs, you have you I don't know. I couldn't you couldn't pay enough
DeRozan is what, 34? No thanks.
right?
I pass. I don't want him. And Levine, he's so ball dominant that you have to get rid of one of the other guys here who are ball dominant. Like
Call
it wouldn't work.
Call Indiana for
Toby-
Turner.
Toby,
And
Toby's the best. Tobias Harris, as much as that contract sounds crazy, it's the most stable move given what they're not doing. It's because of the lack of what they. This is what kills me about the Kevin Knox and about Frank Ntilikina. I know they're not great players, but you drafted them. You used an asset to get them. It would behoove you before they expire and walk, or you got to trade another pick to get rid of them, like they did, and now they're doing the same thing. The Cam thing is just a hot mess. That's just the most egregious. You give up a pick and add a pick to get a guy that you're now giving away probably for 2 beanbags. You know, that's some of the worst asset management I've seen from the Knicks, and there's been a lot of bad asset management when you think about it. But one guy who he has promised, yeah, he has a motor issue, but you don't not play him and break his value down even more to the point you devalue the guy completely. You're not getting anything from him. From what the rumor is that the Lakers were not willing to take Ev with Reddish because Reddish was not enough of a sweetener. Think about that now. Reddish was not enough of a sweetener for them to take Ev, a team that needs shooting and some youth movement. They go, oh, no. We don't want that. We want to pick from the Knicks along with Reddish and Evan. That's friggin'
because that's what always happens but that's what always happens when the Knicks traded for Reddish and then they didn't play him at first and then they started playing him this year and then they stopped and it's starting to look like they were just showcasing him and teams know that. So they're not going to give you the value for him because they know the Knicks don't want him.
Yep.
So that's the problem. Like that's the issue. They should have never made the trade to begin with.
Nope.
That's in the past. It's already done. Honestly, and we've talked about this in the past, and I know Ty, you're kind of wishy-washy on him, and Craig, I know you like him. I would literally look at Towns and try and get Towns. That's the direction I would go. If I was thinking, I understand, and Craig, I mean, Ty, you're 100% correct. It's very, very shaky with him mentally. I don't know how good he is in the big moments. Can he be that player? And he would be expected to be that player here. Like, that's pretty much what it would be.
They would expect him to be Patrick Ewing.
The way I look, probably. And the way I look at it is, you know, if you can move Randall in that deal, then that's how I would look. That's where I would go. I would try and get Towns. They're 16 and 19. That they're not. For some reason, he needs to leave Minnesota. Whatever reason it is, he needs to leave Minnesota. He's a New York guy from New Jersey. Like maybe coming here rejuvenates him because I mean, outside of the mental issues from time to time where they kind of pop up, I mean, to me, he's exactly what this team needs. He's a guy who could score. He rebounds well. He can play good defense. He can when he's probed. He's been in the past.
And he can stretch the floor.
Yeah, he needs someone to push him, but he can do it. The issue is our coach.
You'd be giving Minnesota essentially their picks back because you know they have. No, I don't care either. You know, I don't care.
I mean, if they're not, if the Knicks aren't gonna completely this year, this is how I'm looking at it. If they're not gonna completely say screw it, shut everybody down, tank completely, and get Victor or Scoot or one of those guys in the draft. If that's not their plan, then I would. Then this is the kind of trade I want. I want to trade for this kind of player. I want to trade for a talent like Towns. That's the kind of trade I want.
But that has to be Towns, you know, saying, "Hey, like, get me out of here." Is he ever going to do that?
I think Towns has been saying he wants to be out of there for a while.
Without saying it, yes.
Without saying it. For me, yeah. Cat, I'm a whatever with Cat. But I'm even more with Julius. So
let's try the other whatever.
So you're asking me, like, you know, what would be a nightmare is if you traded him and kept Julius. then I'm not happy. I'm not
That
happy.
would be
I'm
so
not
much
happy at
fun.
kindergarten camp at all at that point.
But yeah,
No, it
I'm
would
gonna
be
act like a
fun.
whole brat on that one. But
It would
if
be
you're,
fun.
fun, right?
It would
if
be
you're
fun.
moving Julius to get him, then I'm fine with Cat coming here as long as Julius is not on this team.
Right. He has to be part of the deal. I agree.
That
Yeah,
means you're
because he
giving.
offers a lot of what, like, Cat has a level he can go to
Right.
that Julius can't.
Exactly.
The question has always been with Cat is who's going to make him come out, who's going to build that or pull that level out of him.
Right. He
Now,
needs someone.
he would be ideal with Brunson.
Yeah.
The game becomes a whole lot different. Like for me, Cat needs to play the 5. I'm tired of this stretch 4 thing he's doing. I just think him as a 5, much like I've said about Giannis the same way. Those dudes, if he's a 5, he becomes the best 5 in the game. He might not be defensively the best 5, but he's going to become the best 5 scoring wise because he's a bucket. He can get any shot he wants. He's a great stretch 5. You know, he can rebound. His defense, he can be, if he's engaged, he's a really good defender.
Right. He can
or
be
decent defender.
pushed. Yeah.
You know, I mean, ideally, he would probably want to play 4, and then we got to definitely keep Mitch. You know, that's really what it would come down to. So
Well, that's kind of what happened this year with Gobert, right? Like he had to.
Yeah.
I would say Mitch packing for Town.
I would make I agree. I would take
Yeah.
Nick Pat's play to 5. I'm sending Mitch and Randall.
Mitch Randall, Cam, quickly, a handful of picks.
Picks or whatever.
Picks,
I'd give him 3 unprotected because that's probably what they're going to want.
I'd give him at least.
I'm going to add Julius and quickly to that, and boom, bye.
I'm sorry, I'm giving them like 4 or 5 picks. I don't care, like 4 or 5
Well,
picks.
You could.
You're gonna have to because Minnesota.
I think you could do that.
Minnesota's going to say, "Well, we gave up 5."
But that's the thing. Like if they're doing this, then he's the guy you're hitching your wagon to.
Mm-hmm. Brunson, Randall. I'm sorry,
100%.
Brunson, RJ, and Cat. That's your 3 right there.
That's your 3. Yes, that's
your 3.
the guy. Those are the 3 you're going to war with for the foreseeable future.
And this is why I get frustrated with Leon Rose a little bit, and World Wide West. There's no one at CAA you can call and say, "Hey." See, I mean, let's just call it what it is. I was never the guy that subscribed to Dolan hired Rose because he can attract stars. I never believed that because none of these guys Rose and Phil Jackson never said, "Oh, I'm going to be the guy that can get stars to come." They never said that. That's something that fans and media pundits just surmised, right? These guys never said that. They never even alluded to that. We just make that assumption. But I can't. At the same time, I can't sit back and say that Rose isn't. You can't make a phone call. Like, hey, dude, kind of put it out there.
I just realized how crazy it would be having Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle on the same team.
Oh, it would be like drink the Kool-Aid. Like you guys are gonna kill.
That would be insane.
And Gobert.
Oh my god.
And D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, it would be volatile. It would be a volatile situation.
That'd be great. Oh,
but then they probably turn around and be good.
No, I mean they could be. They definitely could be good.
I just think but we were bringing up about Mitch, but Mitch wouldn't go in that trade because of Gobert.
Because of Gobert, yeah, that's true.
Right.
You know, so you could pony Mitch off somewhere else.
It could be a 3-team, sure.
3-team.
You can get some assets for Mitch or whatever.
But this is why I get frustrated with the front office. It's December 28th. You have until January 15th. What are you doing? I'm not talking about it. I'm sorry, February 20th. It's February 15th.
They might not do anything.
But I'm not talking about a cat trade, but I'm just talking about a trade.
Right. No, I think they're gonna. I'd be really surprised if Fournier is still on the team past the deadline. I don't think they're gonna do a huge trade, but I do think they're going to make a trade.
I think Cam is the only thing going to get moved. They said with Evan Fournier, the rumor is that they are unwilling to attach anything regarding a pick to move him. And he's on the bench now with no value. You've devalued that guy because you're not playing, even though he's got a reputation. We know what Evan can do. But what team is giving up an asset for him, knowing that you want, much like you said before, they know you don't want him anymore.
You're right.
So What are you going to get back? They're going to say, well, if you want me to take him, I'm not trading you a young asset or one player for one player unless it's an albatross of a contract or you're giving me an asset. Because I don't technically need him. You need him gone more than I need to keep him. What team is desperate enough right now? Like, they would trade probably, the Lakers would probably try to go get Bogdanovic from Detroit, who's clearly, they're definitely going to tank now because, come on.
No, they're already tanking.
Okay.
They're done.
They're done.
Okay, I hate this guy, but would you? Well, no, they probably wouldn't do it.
You say
but
it.
Would you trade Fournier for like PJ Tucker?
Yes.
Yeah, for the toughness.
Right? Something like that.
Crowder. Let's go back to Phoenix.
Yeah, that's another one. That's a very good one.
Crowder would be a good pickup in the sense of he brings toughness. That's going to be a given with him. He's a 3-and-D. I don't like the dude. He's annoying.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not a fan.
I'm not a big fan of his. He plays that role, but we are talking about we got to consolidate some of the players that's in this rotation.
All right, so get me here. Do that. Get me my favorite player who doesn't play anymore. I think he's actually playing in Europe. Saric. Give me Saric and Crowder, and I'll trade them Fournier.
I would take that.
Right?
At this point, I need something.
Especially now, they could do it now because Devin Booker's out for like how long?
At least a month, they said, maybe.
I know Fournier's not Devin Booker.
Like a month. Yeah, I think.
I know Fournier's not Booker.
Or is that Anthony Davis is out for? One of them is out for a month.
He has an injured groin. I think he's out 4 to 6 weeks. I think they said for.
Anthony Davis may not come back the rest of this year. We might as well just put that as a possible.
He was the other guy I said I would trade.
But that's
going to trade him. So I know. I'm crazy when it comes to Davis because I've always loved the talent in his game. So he's one of those players that'd be like, no, get him anyway, and he never played for us. But he'd be Antonio McNice 2.0, I'm sure, if he ever came to the Knicks.
And we've heard Kyle Kuzma's name come up. That's been another name that's been coming up.
Yeah, but runway would be hot.
But he's on an expiring contract though.
Who, Kuzma?
Kuzma. He's
they don't know if the Knicks would want. They've talked about the Knicks trading for him, and then also about free agency coming up. Would that be a player the Knicks would be interested in signing via free agency?
Look, I'm gonna share. Let me share the screen. Hold on. Share screen. Share screen. So share. So there we go. Hope everyone can see it.
Yeah.
So make it a little bigger.
Gotcha.
So that's the trade I put together. Crowder and Saric for Fournier. Who says no? Let's do it.
I'll do it right now. I wouldn't think twice about it.
Right. I think it makes sense. And Crowder's probably shooting a pretty decent clip.
Because Fournier is going to play right away in Phoenix.
Right. Like right now they need another guard, right? So that's why I said it'd be a perfect time if they're going to consider that.
But this is what frustrates me. Why are we as fans coming? Like, again, I can't speak for anyone in our front office because they could very well be talking about the same thing right now. But why isn't this deal done yet? Why? What possible?
Because these things take time.
No. I don't mean. I'm sorry. Let me take that back. Why?
Well, again, Booker just was put on the injured list today, so
I don't give a crap.
That's possibly why this particular thing hasn't happened because it literally just happened today.
But they also say this about Leon Rose, that this is who he is. That he doesn't do any knee-jerk moves. He's very patient. That's been the thing.
Let's try this one too. Let's see.
To the point that, he waits out for what supposedly is the best deal, which we saw didn't happen clearly in the Donovan Mitchell trade. He didn't blink, and he probably should have blinked. So that becomes it. Well, Derrick Rose would actually fit pretty good in Phoenix also.
There we go. That's my trade, folks.
Him and Chris Paul. I mean, I don't know what what's his name? The little dude.
Cameron Payne
would be doing. That'd give D Rose. Phoenix isn't going anywhere though. I hate to tell Phoenix. I hate to tell
Phoenix is
Phoenix
done.
people. They're done. Phoenix
they
had a shot once Dallas took them out last year. I thought it was just done. Chris Paul went to that finals, and I don't think he's going to get back with that team at least again.
I don't agree. I don't.
You don't really?
No.
I don't know. I just think something's going to stop them from getting there. I don't buy Ayton as their player. I don't think he wants to be there at
I
all.
don't think he wants to be there at all.
And him and Monty Williams was just
They-
the other
I
week
They hate
fighting
each
on the
other.
bench. I just don't see where that's supposed to be going. They
I
should
don't know.
have traded him. Off season, instead of re-signing, they should have worked out a trade with Indiana that would have given probably Miles Turner, which would have been a better fit in Phoenix for him as somebody more stable. And maybe they could have gotten a Buddy Hield, which would have been a great shooter. So say you did you did Ayton and say Crowder to Indiana for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. The Phoenix Suns would have a hell of a team that you have to contend with as far as
it
shooting.
depends. Phoenix depends on pretty much on Paul's health.
Yeah, Paul's
to my
health.
opinion. If he's healthy, they're gonna be a threat to me in the playoffs. If he's not, you're right. It's probably not gonna happen.
I don't buy Devin
So-
Booker. I mean, we got the same name. Love you, cousin. But I don't buy Devin Booker as being that dude. I mean, yeah, you come to Knicks.
Really? I think he's that dude.
No,
No,
I don't buy him as being.
He's not Kobe like people trying to make him out to
Yeah,
be. When I heard that comparison, I'm like, what?
He ain't a Mamba.
No.
Mamba number 5.
He's what we wanted Allen Houston to be. In my opinion.
I mean,
He's
comparing someone to Kobe.
He's a bucket. He's a bucket. Don't get it wrong, but I just don't know. I think he has to do more, and I don't know if he has more. He can do it.
But that's the thing. That's the reason why I hate ESPN and the hype machine, right? A couple of years ago, that's what ESPN was trying to do. Oh, he's Kobe. No, I know, but I'm just giving it. That's why it's hard for me to trust the media, right? Because he's not, and that died quickly. He's not Kobe. He's Allen Houston on steroids. He's Ray Allen, but not even as good a jump shooter as Ray Allen was. Like when the NBA was,
he's more scorer shooter to me.
Yeah,
like
he's a scorer.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, he's a bucket, but I don't.
The ESPN pushed that for a little bit.
He has to be more than what he is for me. Like he's gotten these huge outputs of points, and I'm like, that's impressive. I don't ever get it wrong, but it's like there's something about his game when I watch it, and I'm watching how he scores, but I'm not seeing the next thing he can do. Like, what is the next level for Devin Booker? It's almost like how Tatum was. Like for a minute, you're like Tatum needed another level to go to, and you're waiting for it, and he's there now. But it's like that's what I'm waiting for Booker. Like we know you're a bucket, but what else are you going to bring to the table?
I have the trade, guys. I have the trade.
You have the trade.
Show it again.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go. There's the trade. Bam.
Michael Jordan would get killed for that.
Bam.
Jordan should be getting killed now because the Charlotte Hornets.
LaMelo is going to be like, I hate it here. I want out. Then LeVar's going to get involved.
Yeah, but Charlotte.
I think LaMelo's. I'm telling you, the Hornets, where the Hornets are doing now, unless they get Victor, but I don't even think they got their pick. Did they got their pick?
I don't know.
Oh, it's top 20 protected. So
Charlotte is going to want picks. I mean, like that would be a.
Oh, we could give them picks. Like we'll give them picks as well. Picks.
I think LaMelo's out of there.
So let's do that. We'll give them picks, like maybe 3 firsts, whatever. Maybe even
Jordan,
4. I don't know.
As great as Jordan has been as a player, he's probably the best I've ever seen.
Get me Gordon Hayward
He's
here.
the exact opposite as an owner.
Because we need that on the Knicks. Get some Gordon Hayward and then LaMelo, and that's it. And then Brunson can go back to the bench.
Whoa! Back
We're
to
good.
the bench.
Yeah, why not?
Just start LaMelo at the 2. Like I mean,
No. Do you want LaMelo to have the ball? LaMelo would be the point. I guess you start Brunson at the 2 when you look at the height. Just defensively, you just switch them. That's it.
Yeah.
We could do that.
I definitely. They said that Lamar said he doesn't want him in LA. They want nothing to do with LA. But I know he wants him in a big city, and the big city ain't Brooklyn. So
definitely not.
So
this is my trade. I'm sticking with it.
Okay.
Can you imagine if he's in the Garden, LaMelo? That'd be ridiculous.
I can imagine, yes. He bothers the hell out of me, but I'd be happy if he was on the Knicks.
Imagine the highlight reels that is going to go on Because
all of a sudden Obi will be dunking all the time, and everyone's
Yeah.
gonna be like, "Look at this," and then we're like, "Yeah, see, we told you."
but I think he comes if Tibbs is gone.
Yes,
I don't
agree.
think he would be the kind of
I
player
agree.
that could play with Tom Thibodeau. I don't know any player that wants to play with Tom Thibodeau.
Melo.
All right.
Well, Melo had
Melo.
a shot. He didn't.
Yeah, he didn't take it. Yeah,
He didn't take it.
we wanted the money, but I can't blame him for it. Go make your money. But
He's like ring in Chicago with ice,
We
or
could try that. We could
get
try
the
the
money.
trade.
Get the money
This
in.
is fun. I could have like a trade show. We just sit here and talk about possible deals.
I gotta find.
I'll
What's
just
that?
put different trades together. That's all.
Was Fanspo? That's the name of that site.
Yeah, Fanspo. Yeah.
I usually use NBA Trade Machine. I'm gonna have to check that one out.
Yeah, they have that one. The
That one's
hoops
easy
hype
to
one.
move around though. It's better to navigate with that one.
The only thing I don't like is this one. I don't think has the draft picks, and some of them do. So some the ones that have the draft picks are better because you could like put picks in there, and it's a lot of fun.
Surprised you didn't go to the Trey Young Trade Machine.
Oh, I could do that one. You want to do that one?
please,
We'll do that one.
You know what? Trey Young, I think, is going to be going from Atlanta.
37.
That I just got a feeling. I don't think he's liked by his teammates and his coach. I think it was reaching not all his teammates, but I think there's an issue with Trey with Atlanta. If you're reading what the tea leaves are saying, you know, him and Nate had obviously the issue that was discussed, and his teammates didn't support him fully, from what they say also. And they played pretty good tonight against Brooklyn. They lost by 1 point, but Trey wasn't in the game.
I would throw a McBride in there too.
And picks. You just
And
whatever picks.
Picks. They would at least want 5 or 6 picks.
No, if you're giving up those 3 guys, I don't think you need to give 6 picks. Maybe 4. Maybe 4.
Jesus.
So
And they have Murray already, so Murray would just slide to the
yeah,
spot.
that's
Like
true.
it wouldn't.
So Murray would be point.
Yeah.
Ed would be a starting 2.
Yeah, so they wouldn't need Brunson. So
that would hurt. As a guy who likes Brunson, that would hurt a little bit.
I like Brunson too. Brunson is definitely our best point guard, probably since Stephon Marbury, I guess.
No, Chris Duhon, Jason Kidd. Sorry, not Chris Duhon. Felton and Kidd.
Felton Kidd. I don't know.
Kidd doesn't count.
I don't count Kidd. I think Felton was robbing White Castles.
Have you seen him lately? Jesus.
I
saw a picture of him. Yes,
I've seen him during those games, and I thought he was smuggling White Castles on the bench.
When you're chunky already, and then you retire.
I never liked that dude. I never liked Raymond Felton. Every time you hear Raymond Felton, he was like, "Oh, I'm playing with a chip on my shoulder." I was like, "Yeah, all those bag of Pringles that you got, dang on
sour cream and onion."
Sour cream and onion, and he went to the jalapenos. And then when he went to the bacon cheddar, he was like, "Nah, you was."
But that was a great team. I mean, that was a really good team to watch that year. That was a good team to watch, though.
It was a good team. I've never been a Raymond Felton fan because Raymond Felton was the kind of guy. I get it. You're confident. You gotta have confidence. I was like Eric was speaking about before. I just think he wasn't as good as people made him out to be. He wasn't as good as he thought he was. You know, I just never.
For that team, that 2012-13, they were
his first round go around here.
First round, I like
better. Yeah.
The second one, I'm like, never mind, dude.
Yeah, the second go around it, but the first time he was here, I was like, yeah. And he was playing really good basketball until he got hurt. I remember he hurt his ankle or something.
Yeah,
so it kind of went downhill from there.
I just think we've always been in that position where, as Knicks fans, we've been dying to have a point guard. So when anybody has come in and looked like one, we've fallen in love, and I've just not been in love with any of them too much. Jeremy Lin was probably the closest that I had like somewhat of a love affair with.
That was a great 2 weeks, man.
Best 2 or 3 weeks of the Knicks history, and Marbury was ideally the best talent we've had. Very long time was Marbury, and we know how that worked out. So
yeah.
Hold on, I'm trying to see what
But D'Antoni, like that. I mean, I still don't get that. That D'Antoni and Marbury thing is frustrating because it reminds me of what Tibbs is doing right now with. I mean, because who did Larry Brown did that with somebody, right? Who did he not?
Larry had a problem with everybody. He had a problem with Steph.
Yeah.
and Steve Francis.
You said
And
call
The amount of guys the Knicks own the rights to, like international guys, is crazy. I'm gonna show you guys. I'm just gonna
that's
show
the dude they need to bring over. Is that dude that's over there
Let
now?
me show
Ralph.
you this.
What's his name? Ruckus, whatever.
Jacobitis, yeah,
Ruckus.
Jacobitis.
Rockabitis.
So
That dude can
on
play.
the right, that's on the right. So all of these guys,
Wow.
Jaramaz too. He's the other guy. Remember him? Yeah, him too. So all of these guys are European players that they have the rights to.
That we'll never bring.
Yeah, they'll never bring here.
Like the Knicks are allergic to international players.
I know.
Every international player, if I'm not mistaken, outside of RJ Barrett, I guess is considered an international
Well,
player.
KP, I guess.
But it still remains. They've
Yeah.
screwed them all up. No foreign player. The French ones, they never, German. I don't care what it is. They would come here and book and bench Luka. Luka Doncic would be on the end of the bench, 15. The Knicks never play European players. They are allergic. Look at Evan. Like they act like Evan's trash. Evan's sitting on the bench. Think about it. What international player?
And he's a proven NBA player.
You're destroying what you built as a front office in terms of just perception around the league.
Yep.
Like you did so much.
Yep, that's a good point.
And that's what I was giving him credit for the last year, 2 years, 3 years now.
Point.
But now you've ruined that.
Yep.
Well, how
That's a very good point.
how are these players supposed to look at you now?
Well, the free agents are looking at someone because I know Stephen A. had brought it up about Cam. Even when Tom was looking somewhat stable, he goes, well, why are you still not playing Cam Reddish? And, these guys, he's a clutch client. Clearly, you're seeing that you've heard NBA players are like, that dude can't get no burn. Now you're hearing the echoes. Even Jamal Crawford was on NBA TV talking about the Knicks scheme, saying, what's up, bro? Everybody, they're dissecting Tibbs' strategy and picking it apart. Like, don't you think you should make some changes? When you start hearing those echoes, that's the echoes of the league talking about your team and knowing how his best thing was Jamal Crawford said, great players like Luka are building data as they're playing. That's what he basically said. And he says, Luka, watching what Tibbs was not doing, he was building up data so when it got into the crunch moments, he knew what wouldn't happen. Can't get no deeper than that.
It's like Tom Brady, right? I mean,
but you see, like it's not just Luka. We've seen it all year.
All year, all the players are doing it. That's the thing. Luka, known more for his mind because of his, he's not as athletic, so they equate that. But Siakam did it. Jeremy Grant did it. DeMar DeRozan did it. All the guys, if there's a
DeJounte Murray.
DeJounte Murray was the game that should have been the greatest warning shot for the Knicks. Because when you look at it, Trae Young goes down. Who's the villain? He's the villain in the comic book for the Knicks. And DeJounte's like, nah, he ain't the villain. He can go. I'm gonna terrorize you.
The dude was laughing.
Laughed the whole
doing these dances and shit.
Trae Young doesn't even. He may bow a little bit, but DeJounte was taking pleasure. You could see it in his eyes, like just frustrated.
He was what he told the Knicks was, "You got no heart." That's what he was telling them.
Well, he was right.
I'm going to snatch your soul and skull drag you across Madison Square Garden. And there was not one Knick that stood up and says, nah, bro, you ain't doing that up in here. We have not had, and now even go back to Melo, when LeBron came in and spun the bottle, we have not had that dude that's going to go smack somebody.
Kurt Thomas was the last guy, probably.
Kurt Thomas was probably the last one. That team with Kurt Thomas and Rasheed Wallace, them dogs, they were old dogs, unfortunately, that we couldn't benefit from.
Yeah,
Kenyon Martin,
team, I guess. Yeah, 12.
Dudes like that who had that. Oh, you think I won't hit you? The Knicks don't got one of them dudes for a lot of years now. We don't have we haven't had an alpha mentality.
We don't even have Bobby Portis anymore.
Yeah, somebody Bobby Porter, like Bobby Portis would have got the bat and the 2x4.
Bobby
He'd have laid
Portis.
somebody out. Like, you want to pull that crap up in here? I'm not gonna let it happen.
Those
So
eyes.
but what are the Knicks? What are the Knicks when you think about what we've seen recently in the Garden of all places? We've gotten punked. How many times?
Morris, maybe.
That's the thing. Like that. That's why
Maybe.
That's why I look at Randall. You look like a freaking freight train, dude. All you have to do is do it once.
Once. Somebody like KD acts tougher than Randall. This was great.
And we know KD is not tough at all.
And you know he won't burst a grape in a fruit fight.
No, KD is tough in this way. KD's like, really? And he goes out and scores 50 on you.
Yeah,
that's KD's toughness.
Yeah. He's a full. But that's the thing. Like, he exhibits.
Yes.
He's like, he's like the one of the strongest people ever to play the game. But there's a fear of KD. That's what I'm saying. Like, he still has an intimidating presence, whether, polarizing, whatever. He has something that you go, maybe I don't want to take that dude off, though, because of consequence. The Knicks don't have one guy because they can't do it by their play. So what you have to do is have it by your physicality, at least in a game. Like, well, if you're going to come in the guard and you're going to try to show us up, then I'm going to lay some wood down on you. Legally, lay some wood. Because I'm going to at least give the physicality back that I can't get back in talent. The Knicks have one dude like that.
Taj was the closest thing we had last year.
Yeah, Taj was probably
the closest thing to that.
He was a good dude, but yeah, he
let you out.
You let him walk to that.
It's weird. I see signs of like Mitch being able to be that guy eventually. I see signs of it.
Yeah.
Just I don't know if he's there yet, but I see it going in that direction. Like, because he is the one guy, and at least in the post game, he'll like if something bad happens to him, he'll be like, "We can't let he's the one guy who says it like we can't let that stuff happen here at home." Like he'll say it at least.
I think the thing with him, I'm gonna tell you what I agree. I think Mitch's could be that dude. I think here's the lies the problem with Mitch. Mitch is looking at them dudes like, why would I do it for you? Why would I do it for you when you're not even trying to get me a shot? That's just really what it comes down to. The dude complains about his offense. He does subtweets and subliminal messages about, what about me when I go to school? I'm doing all the dirty work, which he does do all the dirty work. He's the Rodman for us. He does all the dirty work, and they're like, they just finally ran a play for him last night. Out of 4 seasons, whatever, he had a play ran for him last night.
But that's the thing. He said it though recently. Like they asked him about adding offense to his game. He's like, they don't use me that way.
They don't use me. What am I doing? They don't use me. And that's him being sour.
That's an indictment on the coach.
Yeah, the coach is like, well, why am I doing this? And this, I'm doing all this, and this dude is not even sitting there. And Mitch Robinson works harder than any Knick, in my opinion, on the floor. And that dude does not get
more of a
reported.
homegrown talent than RJ is, if you think about it, in terms of just his development and where he's come from to where he, even personality wise.
Yeah, personality wise, definitely.
Yeah.
I like what Mitch brings, and I agree with Eric. I think he has that edge that he can play with. But I think he holds back and is like, well, why am I going to do this? There's not another Knick that would be willing to do what Mitchell Robinson did. It should be Julius, because Julius has all that growl and that bark, but it's always in the wrong direction.
I'm over it.
It should be at the opponents. When the opponent's coming in there, he should be in some opponent's face like, what, you going to try what tonight?
It's not growl and bark with him. It's bitching and moaning. It's completely
or he does it to the crowd.
He looks like every time he argues with a ref, he looks like he's about to cry.
Yeah.
He literally looks like I'm waiting to see the tears, the jumping up and down, the benching of the fists. I'm waiting for that.
The animations kill me, and I'm like,
dude.
That's why I can't even complain about Luka, because we have Luka. He's just not as good as Luka. We have a Luka in the Garden who plays every play, every single play.
Oh God!
And it's like,
why do you not always end up on Randall? It doesn't fail.
But here's the thing: for as much as I hate LeBron, right? If you put him on this particular team with the ancillary pieces you have,
they win him better.
He makes them better.
That's the one you can't knock about LeBron. He would
make Mitchell
He doesn't mind deferring and helping out his teammates. He he doesn't want all the smoke to begin with.
Unless you're a low post center, he makes you better.
He would make
Like
Mitchell.
that.
Mitchell would be averaging 10 and 10, easy.
He's
10 points.
like he's
Easy.
It's a shame Mitchell is not averaging 10 and 10.
That's what I'm
His
saying.
whole job is to go out and rebound the ball.
And that's why, like, I joke about it a lot in the chat. But if I'm Leon, just call. Hey, what do you want? What do you want?
Well, he would definitely stabilize the bench a little bit more. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I know one thing: he will take the shot in the end. He's not going to be afraid of that.
What would it take to get LeBron? Like, what would it take?
To get LeBron, you talking about?
That's what I was saying. If I'm Leon Rose,
you want me to kick you out of this?
No, I'm
this group?
What it would take? They would want. They would want a lot of the picks. They wouldn't want picks.
I'm not giving picks for a 38-year-old.
I would not do
9-year-old. No way. No, I don't care if his name was Jesus H. Christ. I am not giving him the picks. There's no way.
The only older guy I would give picks for right now is Kevin Durant. That's he's the only.
And Brooklyn's not doing it. So
he's the only guy out of the crop dusters that are left, the mold dudes that are left. I'm a big Dame fan, as you know. I wouldn't do it for Dame Lillard either. But if I'm doing it for Kevin Durant because as much as he's not being talked about as the MVP, they should be talking about him about being MVP because that dude's on a
tear. He will be now. He will be.
He's on a tear, man. Yeah. I mean, we hear about Jokic, we hear about Giannis, we hear about Embiid.
I mean,
but we knew this. We all knew this was going to happen. Once they got people back healthy, they would be fine. We all knew this.
And the defense, and Jacques Vaughn is a better coach. I'm not being funny to Steve Nash, but Jacques Vaughn
he's shooting 56% from the floor.
Dude is a monster right now.
93% from the line. When
they talk about most skilled players, Kevin Durant should be mentioned every time about the most skilled player. I don't know about how you can go as much as went out.
He's even blocking shots.
He's like about 1 or 2 blocks a game almost.
Yep. What did I get about 2 a game? Yeah.
Listen, he is the most skilled. Like, who are they saying about? They said Anthony Davis most. Kevin Durant is the most skilled basketball player. Like when God made a basketball player, I always say Michael Jordan was probably his mold of perfection. But when you think about the size of a guy, lengthwise, skill-wise, you're building a basketball, you're building Kevin Durant.
When it comes to
be honest.
When it comes to everything, like when you look at a player, his how smooth he is with the ball, he can handle, he can pass, he can shoot. There's literally nothing he can't do. And when he's motivated, he could play defense. Like he's really the prototypical NBA player now.
Yeah.
He's 6'10", 6'11", and I mean, you're right. And the fact he's doing it at 33, right? He's 33?
33, I believe.
34, sorry. He's even older than that.
Wow.
And coming up like Achilles 2 years ago, and
he's a monster.
Like, it's amazing. It really is amazing.
He's a monster player. I mean, like I said, I've always loved Durant's game. That was never a question. I just didn't like the antics that he's like. I don't know why he feels
off
like
the court stuff.
I don't know why he's got to feel like he has to be disliked. Because I don't think he's one of those guys. I think he's probably a very nice guy, but he wanted to play up like I don't want nobody to like me, and I never understood that whole part. That's just stupid. That's childish.
After he went to Golden State, it changed.
Yeah,
it changed. When he made that move to Golden State, everyone started to be like, "Really, dude? Like that's where you're going?"
Which I mean,
and we all said it, right? We all said
right to go, but it was the weakest move.
Right, it was a bitch move.
Caliber. It's like LeBron did a weak move too. I'm not going to dismiss his weakness, but Durant. I mean, not being funny, Durant is better than LeBron. I know people are,
no, he is
not a hot take.
No,
basketball wise, Durant is the better basketball player. It's not even
offensive
close.
talent alone. Yeah,
it's not even close. The problem is that LeBron is more of a out front leader than Kevin wants to be.
Yes,
Kevin doesn't want the spotlight. Kevin wants to hoop and go in the closet.
And go.
He don't want to come out the closet and do all the extra. He don't want to be the face of the league.
No.
So he quietly goes out and kills teams, and he goes and takes his ball and goes home. He's the backpack kid like he was when those commercials. He wants to go around and hoop and be unassuming and then go home. He doesn't want the crown. Like Nas.
Right. That's why they
the King of New York. Nas said, He just left the crown into Jay-Z. It's the same thing with Kevin Durant. He doesn't want the rest of the package that goes with being the best player in the league. But if he was marketable and friendly, I mean, come on. Do you think that dude's what can LeBron do that dude can't do? You might go give him passing.
That's the only skill he's better at.
We'd be talking about who's better, KD or Mike. That's what we'd be talking about. And it's still arguable. I mean, I'm going to say it right now. He's more when we have this conversation. Who's better, Mike and LeBron? LeBron is just not in the conversation.
That's not even the question.
It's KD. I mean, if we were being honest with each other, it's KD and Mike. KD, in my opinion,
it really is.
It's KD and Mike. That's what it really
is. When you think about scorers, because that Mike's game was, Mike could have done a lot more. Obviously, he could have been a triple-double magnet, but we're talking about what was he wired to do? It was like Eric was talking about what you're wired to do coming in the league. He was a scoring savant. That's really what he was. And Kevin Durant coming into the league is a scoring savant. You're comparing two of the same types. Like LeBron is Magic Johnson with some roids, with scoring ability. So he's Magic Johnson on steroids. That's the comparison.
Right.
And when you look at their records and how they went about, Magic didn't change teams, obviously, but when you look at the dynamics of how their games are played, they're bigger than everyone else at the position that they're playing and being guarded against. Same thing. So you go back to Durant. No one can guard Kevin Durant. Nobody's guarding Kevin. Nobody can guard Michael Jordan. Michael's stronger than Kevin. That's the nod. Michael's stronger than Kevin.
But Kevin's a better
shooter. More skilled? No. That's about as even as you can get.
Jordan became a better shooter, but outside shooter, Kevin Durant's a better outside shooter.
Better outside shooter.
Yeah. Not even close. Yeah.
Yeah. So that, offensively, obviously, it's them two. For me, because there is literally no way to stop Durant. He has every kind of move.
Everything.
He can shoot over you. He can score inside. He can put the ball on the floor. He's creative around the basket. Like, a lot of people don't see that in his game, but when he is, he's very, very crafty and stuff. He's really, really good.
And he's a student of the game. That dude understands basketball.
Angles and
And he knows the history of the game. The dude never. I mean, he pays homage to Michael Jordan all the time. He calls him the God. You like that dude was like the perfect he understands that the pecking order, like the respect he has. Like, only LeBron would say, I knew then I was the best player ever in the world. Okay, dude. Not with that finals record. No. Not with that. You should have just said, it was that moment was big, and I know it was.
I won in 3 cities.
Yeah,
that doesn't count.
Kawhi would have, if Kawhi didn't get hurt, in some of those playoffs, he might have won in 3 cities. I mean,
that doesn't count.
Ooh, the bubble don't count. I don't care what nobody tells me. Kick that bubble.
I agree with you, but
terrible.
In the grand scheme of things, it does. But I agree with you.
But the standard in which these kids today hold LeBron is mind-blowing.
But it makes sense.
It's because it's the era. A lot of people say the same thing about Kobe, and
teenagers are dumb. Let's just call it what they're dumb.
But Craig, you'll right. Like you're kind of like that with Kobe, right? Like Craig, you're kind of like that. I'm not a fan of Kobe, right? He was a great player, killer, like all that stuff. But to me, he just kind of falls below. Wasn't efficient. Took a lot of shots. Volume scorer, things like that. To me, when you're comparing him to Jordan and the other players, that's why I put him down a notch.
No,
I'm not saying he was. Obviously, he was a great player. I'm not saying
he gave. I'm not gonna say he gave the impression that he wanted to kill you, because he definitely did. He did. He just couldn't do like Mike was I want to credit Ty here. He was literally a cheat code. Like, he could do whatever he wanted to do, and it wasn't even a second thought to him.
And Kobe had moments like that where he was like that.
Yeah, moments like that. Yeah,
but he also had plenty of moments where he was like 9 of 30, and and you're watching the game, and you're like,
I think the thing that happened with Kobe was he played so much like Mike.
Yeah, he did.
It was
Like
weird.
his
It was
style
eerie. It was
points.
eerie. It was eerie.
Style points was all Mike. Like if you looked at him style points, you're like 10. He's a 10 out of a 10 Michael Jordan. What he wasn't a 10 out of 10 on with Michael Jordan was everything else. the winning, the clutchness in Kobe had clutch plays, but when at the end of the day, I'm giving the ball to either Michael or Larry Bird over Kobe and any other Kobe. It's just when I think about killers, Kobe gave the impression of the killer,
There you
the
go.
Mamba thing, and
There you
everybody
go.
grew up on that, and I get it.
I think I saw Melo hit more big clutch shots.
Melo at
than
one point was the
And
biggest killer on the planet.
and that's the thing that frustrates me. I'm a time travel a little bit about 10 years ago. I'm at a bar. Hakeem Ward walks in, sitting at the bar,
Hakeem.
and I said, "Listen, dude, I got to ask you. I hate to bother you because I don't want to be that guy. I have to ask you, who's a better player, LeBron or Melo?" He sits back in the stool, and he's just like, I'm like, dude, just say it. I want to hear you.
We lost you.
We lost you.
He said Melo is the better. He said Melo is the better scorer.
He is.
And I'm like, okay, all right, I'll take that. But you can tell he wanted to say that. You can tell he wanted to say Melo was better, but he had to pick it. He had to pick it.
I think in basketball, points always kind of gets like elevated because that's basically the point of the game is to put the ball in the basket and then to stop the other team from putting the ball in the basket. So I think if you're a great scorer, that's always going to elevate you in the eyes of some when it comes down to like if all things being equal. So I think that's kind of why like I always said that LeBron is a better overall player.
Yeah.
But if I want someone to get me a bucket, I'm going to Melo 10 times out of 10.
I was never a Melo fan.
Like that's just how it is. Like I'm not. It's weird. I watched him at Syracuse. His freshman year at Syracuse when I first obviously saw him, when everyone first saw him. LeBron had some high school games on that year, whatever. I got to see him play, and I was kind of like, yeah, he's good, but can he do it against guys his size? So that was always my thing, and obviously he proved to do it, so it's fine. But when I first saw Melo, they played St. John's. First half, he was kind of biding his time, doing whatever. Second half, he had 27 points.
Yeah.
In college, it's 20 minutes, right? You play 20-minute halves.
Yep.
And the amount of ways he scored in the different ways, and again, he was 18 at the time, so he was smaller. I was like, wow, this guy is going to be something else.
And he wound up. And for me, it was that his last year in Denver, it was a TNT game, double overtime on Thursday. That game where he hit him and Chauncey were hitting big shots. And for me, I could not stand Melo up until that point. I'm sitting at home one night, I'm watching this game, and I'm like, this guy is in that. So that's about 7 years into his career, 6 or 7 years. And I saw him in Syracuse. I'm like, okay, him and McNamara. I'm like, okay, these guys are good, right? But I didn't really see it. I'm like, this guy can do anything he wants on the floor. And then all of a sudden, he kind of did it for a couple of years in New York, and then just kind of.
Yeah, what's the second knee injury, and then he had that surgery. He wasn't the same after that.
He wasn't the same after that, but he's still like Melo this. I'm like, you don't understand what Melo could do on the basketball floor.
I was just talking scoring. Yes,
he can take it off the dribble, post you up, shoot a three. He can do everything.
I was a fan of Melo coming out of college. In fact, if at one point I had the only non-Knick gear I got is a Denver Nugget hat, which was because of Melo. I like Melo's game. I thought Melo probably should have won Rookie of the Year when the year he was out. I mean, the problem I always had with Melo was we're talking about who is the better player. I've always thought Melo was the better player. Melo never went to that other level that he was capable of doing is what my issue was, because I'm like, but he was wired to be a scorer. If he ever decided to be all the other things, he should have automatically been a double machine every night.
His second jump. The only player who had better second jump was Sean Marion.
Yeah, he should have been a 20 and 12 guy every night. which would have put him in an MVP category, because if he's getting 20, 10, and 5 assists a game and shooting the way he was shooting and scoring on those big nights, he's an MVP. This is not LeBron going to be an MVP. If you're averaging a double-double and 5 assists, and you're capable of going for 35 to 40 points any night, you're an MVP of this league. And the fact that he was just like, yeah, I'm just going to score. That was my biggest thing with him. I thought he was just as good as LeBron could have. It was. But LeBron was willing to defer. And, obviously his game becomes a lot prettier and, gets more accolades because, his overall game is on display. And I thought Melo had all the capability. He just never showed it.
All right. Well, we took a tangent and we started discussing all this other stuff, but it was fun to do that. So we're gonna shut down now. We can continue to talk.
Get a
We're gonna shut down the live broadcast now. So, Craig, tell them where they can reach you if they want to speak to you.
At Bellevue. You catch me at Bellevue if something doesn't change. But other than that, you can find me on Twitter at Trays_Sun28. Trying to avoid the badness.
There you go. And then Ty, you see it on the screen, but go ahead.
Genius Scribble, you can catch me at, and they told me I wasn't allowed on Tankathon anymore. Something about stealing a tank and driving it on Long Island wasn't legal, so I'll be at Bellevue with Craig also.
Ty also a lot of times posts stuff on the All Nicked Up page, guys. So if you see something posted there, it's his. So check that stuff out. Of course, always check out the All Nicked Up group, which this is being broadcasting right now. The All Nicked Up page will have other information regarding us, and going forward, I'll start having more stuff there as the season progresses. After Christmas is when the NBA season really begins, so they say. So here we go. Unfortunately, that's not where the records start, but we are in the full swing of the NBA season now, so we're gonna start doing more and more stuff. I want to try and do some contests and things of that nature. So I'll keep you guys posted on all of that going forward. If you guys want to get in touch with me, you see my information right here. I'm at finally33 on Twitter. For me personally, at all_Nicked_up for the show. So if you want to contact us as the show, you do that there. If you're interested also in comics and fandom, I do a show called Straight Outta Gotham. It's at straight_O_G on Twitter. Straight Outta Gotham, I do with my friend Pete Vera. We talk about comics and movies and pop culture topics, and we're going to be doing a little bit more of our other stuff on that show as well, the Iceberg Lounge and things of that nature that we've done in the past. So look forward for that as well. I think that's it. That's everything else. So thanks again for watching us. If you stuck around with us for now, God bless you. But if you watched us earlier, of course, we appreciate the love and support. Interact with us, please, on the Facebook group. We love talking about basketball. It's definitely picked up a little bit in the past few days, so that's been great to see as well. So for Ty and Craig, I'm Eric. You're watching All Nicked Up, and we'll see you next time.